$1,000 from your stock portfolio and put it in gold, you'd be $160,000 richer today. Listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but I'll pass on something my great-grandfather once said.
You know, life is full of unknowns, but you'll never go broke if you keep some gold in your pocket. Keep some gold in your pockets. Secure your savings. Take advantage of this rare chance to buy gold at the wholesale price. Call the folks at Nationwide right now.
To buy gold at the wholesale price, call 1-800-211-2273. This offer is going to sell out, so call 1-800-211-2273 right now.
There's just so much barking and noise and yelling. Our role is to take 3 steps back and discern what really matters. The most important thing that we do, we are looking out for the forgotten men and women in this country.
They're going to get a straight shooter, no holds barred. I'm not going to cut people slack. The viewers expect that.
Fox is the one place where dissent is allowed.
We have voices. We won't be silent.
Who controls my voice? Nobody.
Arizona police releasing footage taken just moments before a self-driving Uber struck and killed a 49-year-old woman. Senior correspondent Adam Housley has this story from Los Angeles for us this morning. Adam?
Yes, Sandra, the crash happened Sunday night down in Tempe at around 10 o'clock at night. The video is shown from 2 different angles, both from inside the car, one showing out through the front windshield, the other one pointed back towards the monitor, the person who's the driver but not controlling the car. We stopped the video short. They do as well. We stopped a little short of that because of the graphic nature, but it clearly shows the woman stepping outside of anywhere near a crosswalk, and also the pitch black nature of it was out there. Take a look at the first video. Again, this out through the front windshield. You can see that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, appears the woman walking across the street. 49-year-old woman was struck and killed. Unfortunately, the first believed vehicular death from an Uber autonomous car so far in the country. The second video now shows the inside, and it shows the monitor sitting there in the driver's seat. The monitor can take over a car, but all of a sudden you'll notice the monitor looking down and then quickly looks up in shock as the woman appears in front of the windshield, and as the car, of course, would then strike and kill the woman. Now, at this point, they don't believe the driver has done anything wrong. In fact, the Tempe Police Department has said they believe this was, unfortunately, the pedestrian's fault. That's at least their preliminary review of this. Of course, it goes through a full investigation as well, Sandra. They don't know what the monitor was doing, but they do actually enter things into the computer as all this goes on. So that's part of the investigation, Sandra.
It is a tough story. Adam Housley, thank you.
It's going to happen, you think, sometime. The question, I guess, is when does it come?
Full disclosure, we were having this conversation off camera. As we both were made aware of the story, you have to ask yourself, how close are we to seeing these driverless cars?
A lot of these companies, they've done millions of miles on the road already testing this technology, and clearly it's
high interest in them as well.
In a moment here, Congress is on the clock. We know that, passing a massive $1.3 trillion spending deal. A big group of House conservatives say they are against it. So what's in it and what's not, and can they get this done?
Are you a veteran and need money for your family? New Day USA can help. We earned a lot of VA benefits with our service, but the VA home loan benefit is a big one. If you want to use it to get cash, call New Day USA. VA loans are all they do. And don't let less than perfect credit hold you back. Even if you've been turned down for a VA loan by your bank, call New Day. They've been given automatic authority by the VA. They can often help veterans when other lenders won't. By refinancing up to 100% of your home's value, you could take out an average of $54,000 cash. You could use that money to pay credit card debt and other expenses, plan for retirement, and get back on your feet financially. Need money for your family? Call New Day USA and use the VA home loan benefit you've earned and deserve.
Call 1-844-383-1546.
Cologuard, colon cancer screening for people 50 and older at average risk.
I'm here for an important reason, colon cancer screening. There's a bunch of places where screening wouldn't be easy, like here, or here. Nope. But here's a place you can screen for colon cancer anytime with Cologuard, in private, without any special prep. There really is no place like home.
Cologuard is not right for everyone, so ask your doctor if it's right for you.
We took legendary and made it liberating. We took safe and made it daring. We took intelligent and made it utterly irresistible. We took the most advanced E-Class ever and made the most exciting E-Class ever. The 2018 E-Class Coupe and Sedan. Lease the E300 sedan for $569 a month at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Meeting people is my life. I had to be careful how wide I would open my mouth because I was embarrassed to show my teeth. It was time to do something for myself that was going to be permanent.
The Clear Choice one-day approach is making dental implants a reality for people all over the country who suffer from missing or failing teeth.
I felt like I was the most important person on earth to them.
Bill came in, bad teeth, discomfort, pain. We needed to get him into a smile that he felt confident in. We have expertise that you might not find anywhere else, all in one location.
The next day, I had a new smile. Couldn't wait to show some folks. It's amazing what a smile can do for a person.
Discover why this is so much more than another dental procedure. It's a true life changer. With over 30,000 new smiles and counting, we're lifting spirits and confidence all over America. Schedule your free consultation today. We'll even talk about financing options.
I'm eating corn on the cob. I had the best smile I'd ever had in my life.
Call Clear Choice today.
Congress rushing to pass a massive $1.3 trillion spending plan before funding runs out tomorrow night. But many lawmakers not happy with what is in it and some of what's been left out of it, not to mention the sheer length of the bill, a whopping 2,232 pages. It took me a while just to say that number. Welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom. I'm Sandra Smith.
I was up all night going through it, as I know you were too.
Good for you.
Kidding. I'm Bill Hemmer. Good morning, everybody. A group of House conservatives, they've got serious concerns over this. Meanwhile, Democrats, they're upset over what's not in the bill, and that's a DACA fix to protect so-called dreamers. There is a boost, however, in funding for border security. Last hour, House Majority Whip Steve Scalise touting that provision with us.
President Trump, in this bill, gets over 100 miles of new border wall funding. That's money that President Trump campaigned on. We said we wanted to help him get money to build the wall. This gives him that ability. By the way, it also gives President Trump the ability to defund sanctuary cities.
Wow. Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel is live on the Hill. Mike, good day to you. What's the timing on this vote today?
Well, hello, Bill. The House is expected to vote early this afternoon and then presumably would kick it over to the Senate facing a tomorrow night deadline. What's in it? What's being called the largest investment in national defense in 15 years, $654.6 billion. Securing our homeland, $47.8 billion for Homeland Security, $1.571 billion for physical barriers and technology on our southern border, and $21 billion for infrastructure projects. Speaker Paul Ryan says lawmakers are delivering, and the contents of the bill should not be a total surprise.
We passed this bill. The House passed all these bills back in September, and we passed them with Republican-only votes. This has the exact same funding for the border in this bill that we funded back in September with all Republican votes. So it's kind of interesting. People are sort of saying different things now. But here's the point. The administration asked for 74 miles of border funding, border wall funding. We did about 100 in this bill.
Ryan made his case to the president directly in the Oval Office, and President Trump has signed off on this deal. Bill?
Well, what about the pushback, Mike? It's significant. You don't know if it can stop it or not. What do you think?
Well, that's right. The conservative House Freedom Caucus has written a letter to President Trump asking him to step in, saying, quote, Mr. President, we urge you to remember the countless forgotten men and women of America who placed their faith in you to change business as usual in Washington, D.C. We urge you to join us and reject this omnibus. This morning, a co-founder of that Freedom Caucus made this appeal.
Put a good bill in front of the president. He'd support that, too. I know he would. So let's put good legislation in front. Let's not bring the worst bill I've seen in my 10 years in Congress to the floor of the House today. Let's put something good in front that's consistent with what the American people elected us to do.
There are lawmakers who say that criticism is overblown. The $1.3 trillion spending cap was set weeks ago, and since then the relevant committees here on Capitol Hill have been working on slicing up that pie. Bill?
Thank you, Mike. Mike Emanuel watching it all go down. Thank you, sir. Talk to you a bit later.
Investigators looking at whatever they can find on the life of Austin bombing suspect Mark Condit, searching for a possible motive for the string of explosions that killed 2 people and terrorized the city of Austin for weeks. Police finding what they call a 25-minute confession video recorded on Condit's phone, as well as bomb-making supplies at his home and more. Here's Texas Congressman Michael McCaul revealing some new information to us just last hour.
We also know, Bill, he had a target list of future targets, residences, addresses that we found.
Based on what?
Based on his data that we were able to retrieve. And we went to the homes and cleared them from any suspicious packages.
Let's bring in former FBI Special Agent John Iannarelli. John, thanks for being here this morning. What did you make of that new development? We just learned that last hour.
I'm actually not very surprised at all. The reality is this person was trying to create mayhem and terror in the Austin community. It's likely he had people that he had issues with or different topics that he wanted to go after. I think it's important to look at who is on this list and see what the connectivity is so we can see if there's a common theme between these folks.
It seems that there's probably still so much to learn about this man and obviously what his intentions were had he not been caught when he was.
Thank goodness he was. And what the FBI and the local authorities are going to be doing is they're going to look at everything in his past. They're digging through his computer as we speak, looking at his history, what he was searching, his writings, any people that he had been associates with. He had 2 roommates. All of those people will be interviewed. Information will be culled to try to figure out what was the motive.
And that is really, you know, the crux of this investigation right now is searching for a motive. Is it possible that they'll never even find one?
It's always possible you might not, but it's important that law enforcement tries, not just in this case, but you want to prevent these things from happening in the future. And if you can find a reason people act this way, something that triggers, it might be something that can identify in the future and intervene before it happens.
What did you make of this 25-minute confession video that he apparently did on his cell phone just a short time before they found him?
It's obvious this young man wanted to leave some sort of message. The bombs itself were messages for him to send to the community or whoever he was targeting, but he wanted to have more to say. I wish he had said more specifically what his reasoning for it was. Hopefully that will come.
Michael McCaul, when he was on last hour, talked to us also about the technology that was used in this case. Fascinating stuff. Listen to this.
We were also able to use technology to find a digital footprint of where his cell phone had been, so that the key evidence was getting his cell phone number, so that when he did turn his cell phone on, immediately the SWAT teams descended upon him.
He couldn't get into a whole lot of further detail on that technology, but thank God for that. And really, it was getting that cell phone number that was the game changer.
It certainly was. A lot of this was old-fashioned law enforcement work, getting out to the stores, looking where these materials were sold, trying to find somebody out of character buying things unusual. But the cell phone technology is what made the difference in identifying the subject.
And those bomb-making materials that were found in his home, do you believe, based on what they have found and what they've disclosed that they found, John, that there should have been some sort of red flag or warning signal earlier on about those purchases?
You know, the problem is the devices he made, he was using very, very common items that you can buy in any hardware store in America. So there's nothing particularly unusual. However, the batteries were a key, and that helped investigators. Very unusual in his choice of what the batteries were.
John, can the residents of that city rest easy tonight? Is this over?
I think this particular incident is over. The police have fairly well assured the community that there are no more packages out there. I think they've accounted for all the materials purchased. Of course, the issue is we know we'll be talking about something like this in the future with the next one.
Wow. John Iannarelli, thank you for joining us and lending your expertise to a situation we continue to learn more about and get more details on. Thank you.
Thank you.
About 8 past the hour now. We may get more information. We expect it on the Russia matter today. The House Intel Committee about to release some unclassified information from its report. Catherine Herridge live from D.C. on that. Catherine, are they meeting today on this?
Well, they are, Bill, and good morning. We are expecting the House Intelligence Committee to vote later today on the final Russia report. We expect that vote along party lines with a 150-page document sent to the intelligence agencies for review and declassification. We are live outside the House Intelligence Committee's secure facility, standing by for developments and reactions on the vote. Meantime, the committee's ranking Democrat has made clear that they have dozens of leads that they still want to pursue, including an interview with whistleblower Christopher Wiley and data mining by the firm Cambridge Analytica that reportedly sought to create voter profiles based on Facebook information. Schiff's letter reads in part, quote, "If these allegations are accurate, this misappropriation of private data is a serious invasion of the privacy interests of the American people. These developments bear directly on our ongoing investigation into Russia's meddling into the 2016 U.S. elections and raise significant questions about Cambridge Analytica's alleged reliance on harvested data and activities during this time frame." Bill.
Catherine, there is more palace intrigue at the Justice Department, the FBI, and probably intrigue that will last some time. What are you learning about that today?
Well, Bill, the Attorney General's personal lawyer told Fox News that his client, Jeff Sessions, is not under criminal investigation for lying to Congress about his Russia contacts, adding the Office of Special Counsel told him, quote, "After interviewing the Attorney General and conducting additional investigation, the Attorney General is not under investigation for false statements or perjury in his confirmation hearing testimony and related written submissions to Congress." The statement came in response to an ABC News report. The former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe oversaw a criminal probe of Sessions, who signed off on McCabe's termination last Friday, 2 days before the FBI veteran's retirement. The current FBI Director Christopher Wray told NBC News the firing was for cause and not politically motivated.
I'm committed to doing things objectively and independently and by the book. And I think that has to extend not just to our investigations, our intelligence analysis, but it also has to extend to personnel decisions and disciplinary decisions.
Sources close to the president question whether the rules are being applied equally across the board and whether the special counsel is also investigating the former FBI Director James Comey and allegations he misled Congress about his role in media leaks about the Clinton email and Russia case.
Wow.
Bill.
Catherine, thank you.
Yeah.
Catherine Herridge
You're
there
welcome.
in Washington. Sandra.
Growing new concerns within the U.S. intelligence community that Russia's already trying to infiltrate upcoming elections in both 2018 and 2020. So are we prepared for that? Senate Homeland Security Committee member James Lankford joins us next with some breaking news on what he plans to do to fight back.
Also, President Trump ready to announce new tariffs against China today. The targets and the risks the move poses as markets start to react on all that. Coming up here. Plus this today.
There really is no reason why Mueller should be investigating things other than Russian collusion. If there is no Russian collusion, he should wind up, close his investigation, and let's move on.
Several Republican lawmakers saying Mueller mania is sweeping Washington in a very negative way. House Judiciary Committee member John Ratcliffe joins us at the bottom of the hour with his take.
Do you know which investment could be your best performer this year? Stocks, real estate, bonds? None of the above. It's silver. It's trending higher. And if silver returns to its all-time high, that's over a 200% increase. Call now to get this free report. First-time callers also get this free 1-gram silver bar.
If I could only invest in one thing, it'd be silver. Silver is running out. It's in short supply. It is one of the greatest investments you could have right now.
Call Lear Capital for your free report, Sky High Silver, and get the indicator that over the past 40 years has accurately predicted silver increases of 200% or more. Don't wait. Call now to get the report and ask how you can get up to $2,000 in free silver in your hand or in your IRA. This offer ends soon. Call 1-800-927-2400. 1-800-927-2400. That's 1-800-927-2400.
Hi, I'm Joan London. Today's senior living communities have never been better. With amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And there's never been an easier way to get great advice. A Place for Mom is a free service that pairs you with a local advisor to help you sort through your options and find the perfect place. a place for mom. You know your family, we know senior living. Together we'll make the right choice.
If you love your friends and family, give them a meal that will truly be appreciated. The Omaha Steaks Savings Celebration Package. Sold separately, this package is filled with $193 worth of great food for the combo price of just $49.99. That's 74% off on this limited time offer. The Omaha Steaks Savings Celebration Package includes 4 tender top sirloin steaks, 4 extra thick boneless pork chops, 4 juicy boneless chicken breasts, 4 classic juicy Omaha Steaks burgers, and 4 gourmet jumbo franks. Dessert is 4 caramel apple tartlets. Your order will be delivered straight to your home or the destination of your choice to enjoy with friends and family. As a special thanks from us to you, if you order right now, we'll include 4 additional Omaha Steaks burgers free. That's 8 total. You get it all, the Omaha Steaks Savings Celebration Package, a $193 value for just $49.99. Enjoy the lowest pricing of the season with the Savings Celebration Package from Omaha Steaks today.
Are you hiring great people?
I get more talented people through the door through Indeed than any other job search that I use.
Indeed delivers 6 times more hires than any other job site. Post a job in minutes, and Indeed will help you zero in on just the right candidates. Plus, there are no upfront costs or long-term contracts.
Nothing has ever been this easy, this simple, and this effective.
Right now, start your first job posting with free premium placement. Search for greatness. Indeed, the world's #1 job site.
Guys, I really love what you've done with the place.
Thanks. Yeah, still needs a little bit of work. You guys don't happen to know a good handyman, do you? We might know someone. Outstanding. Could you possibly get a background check on them?
Just to be safe. Also, get a bunch of quotes, check all the reviews, and match us with the best pros for the job.
And book an appointment for, say, next Tuesday at 9?
10's better, babe.
Perfect. Who wants a burger?
You can't expect your neighbors to do everything HomeAdvisor can. So to find and instantly book a background-checked home pro for free, just ask HomeAdvisor.
About 2 hours from now, President Trump will sign a memo slapping new tariffs on imports out of China. That move aimed to prevent theft. They will target China's technology sector and restrict Chinese investments here in the U.S. And China has threatened to retaliate, although we do not know specifics on that. Stocks trading lower on the anticipated tariffs. We were off 300 at the open here, so 45 minutes later, we're down 173. So down triple digits at the moment. We'll see what happens here. These tariffs, they have intended consequences and unintended consequences, and those we cannot.
But fair to note that less than an hour in, well off the lows of the session. We'll keep watching it. Down 174.
Do you think that we have deterred Russia from continuing their operations as far as trying to infiltrate our election system for the 2018 election?
No, we have not. Based on the testimony in this room last month from our intelligence chiefs.
So we're facing the same, if not worse?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Secretary Nielsen?
Yes, they will. There's no reason to believe they will not attempt again.
That's from yesterday's Senate Intel Committee hearing on election security. Still a lot of work to do to secure the midterms. U.S. Intel officials already warning of Russia trying to interfere with the voting this November. Let's bring in Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma. He is on the Senate Homeland Security Committee and Senate Intelligence Committee. A man who knows a lot about what is going on. Senator, what can you tell us about Russia's intentions with our upcoming elections?
Well, we know what they were doing in 2016, so we should assume they're going to do something even more in 2018, or at least try the same again. A lot of what they did in 2016 was probing our systems, looking at states, looking at their voter registration data, looking at the equipment that they use, looking at the process, looking at how they verify absentee ballots and such. So they were clearly trying to be able to go through and learn as much as they could through the system. We should assume they're going to try to use that information in 2018.
So is this based on an assumption at this point, or is there any evidence that they are already getting involved?
No, there's no evidence other than their social media campaign still continues. What they did starting in 2014, and people lose track of that, but they started in 2014 putting all the pieces together so they can do the social media campaign in 2016 during the election time period. They have that same structure in place. Some of the same actors still continue.
What is Congress currently doing about this as far as an upcoming bill to somehow prevent election meddling?
Yeah, I have a bill. It's a bipartisan bill. We're working through the process. We've gone through multiple iterations. We have another version that's actually come out this week dealing with some basics that we need to be able to do. First, reaffirming states run elections. The federal government doesn't run elections. That's a state responsibility constitutionally, and it's at our best when we do it that way, quite frankly, for security reasons as well. You get a wide, diverse group of different pieces of equipment, different styles. No one individual international actor or domestic actor can come in and affect all of our elections if states continue to run it. We've got to have security clearances, though. It was months and months before individuals actually found out what was going on when the Russians were trying to engage. It's very helpful if we have much faster response between the states and the federal government, and sharing between the states back to the federal government. We've got to be able to fix that. And then there are still 5 states and a total of 12, at least in some of their counties, that they can't audit their elections. They're on completely electronic machines, no paper trail, no receipts. If there's a problem with that particular machine, or if that particular software gets hacked when they do the update before the election, then there's no way to be able to verify that. So that is a problem.
I know Chairman Burr, chairman of the Senate Intel Committee, is calling this an urgent issue at that meeting, saying if we start to fix these problems now, tomorrow, we still might not be having these systems in place in time for the 2020 elections. That seems to be a big warning coming from the chairman of Senate Intel. This is going to take money to fight this as well. What are you doing about funding this effort?
So the omnibus bill that's coming out actually today that we all got the copy of last night does include about $350 million for additional grant funding for those states that cannot audit their elections. Again, I remind people, states are the responsible party for actually making sure their election equipment is up to speed and that is protected. But for the states that are dragging behind, we don't want to affect an entire nation based on their inaction in that state. So we want to incentivize them to be able to step in, get their equipment, get their software up to speed. Every Secretary of State, every election official in the country wants to be able to have secure elections. There's no exception to that. But for those that are lagging behind actually getting it done, we want to be able to help them get that done, so there are some dollars being set aside for it.
Senator, moving on to another big story today, we continue to follow this data misuse story with Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg issuing a formal apology and a statement regarding all of this. There have been calls for him to testify and answer questions on Capitol Hill. Do you think that's necessary?
I think it is necessary to get folks from Facebook, but also a lot of other entities. People have lost track of the fact that for years the internet has run, and a lot of these companies have run on free apps based on harvesting data from individual users. When you click agree to all those different usages, most people don't read what they're clicking to agree to, but they're harvesting data, they're selling that data. There are individual firms going back to all the way to the Obama election. They were very proud in 2008 of the data that they had harvested from all these different app users all over the country and put it together for an election. So this is not new, and I know President Trump's being attacked by the left on this particular issue as if it's something different. This has been around for a very long time, and these different social media companies need to explain how they're protecting people's data.
Interesting stuff. I've got to leave it there, but Senator, Zuckerberg also left the door open to potentially more regulations, or regulations in general, for these social media companies. You think that's necessary?
I think only the data needs to be protected. It's a free speech group. The federal government needs to stay out of the free speech business and allow that to be able to be out there. But when people's data is used and abused and sold, that is a different issue.
Interesting stuff. Senator Lankford, thanks for your time this morning.
You bet.
It feels like we're just at the beginning of this story. One California city fighting back against the state and its sanctuary city laws. And now other cities are joining that effort. What could that mean? That's coming up next.
Sanctuary cities and states like California put innocent Americans at the mercy of hardened criminals, hardened murderers in many cases.
My dad once said to me, tragedy has a way of defining people.
What the hell happened, Teddy?
They're treating this like a crime scene.
We tell the truth, or at least our version of it.
Senator, when can we expect some answers?
We're in this deeper than I thought.
These theatrics are not going to hold up in a court of law.
What have I done?
Chappaquiddick, rated PG-13, April 6th.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need cash? You need to know about the New Day 100 Home Loan for Veterans. It lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, not just 80%. And that can mean a lot more money for you and your family. With our military service, veterans like us have earned a valuable VA benefit, the right to apply for a VA home loan. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you refinance your mortgages, consolidate your credit card debt, put cash in the bank, and lower your payments an average of $600 a month. And New Day will even pay for your appraisal fee. That could save you up to $500 or more. So call New Day USA. They look at your whole financial picture, not just your credit score. And they'll do everything they possibly can to get you approved. Call them today and get the financial peace of mind every veteran deserves.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-844-383-1535.
I was up and down with my weight my entire life.
When diets don't work, it's easy to quit. From a top diet 8 years straight comes the new Rapid Results.
If you see immediate results, you stick with it.
Lose up to 16 pounds in just 4 weeks. With one-on-one support, you'll see change fast. Eat 6 times a day. The secret is what you eat and when. Start Rapid Results to lose 16 pounds for $16 plus the cost of food and get $100 in free food. Hurry, call now.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-650-4157.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-650-4157, or visit SoClean.com today.
California has been defiant in its stance as a sanctuary state, passing new laws late last year, but one city defying that state law, Los Alamitos, in a tense city council meeting, voting in favor of a resolution to exempt them from California's sanctuary state laws. And now other cities are looking to follow suit. Katie Pavlich, editor of townhall.com and a Fox News contributor, fresh back from a trip overseas. How you doing, Katie?
Good morning.
Good morning to you, and welcome back here.
Thank you.
So Los Alamitos, I believe population 11,000, is taking a stand. What do you make of that? Let's start there.
Yeah, well, it's not just them taking a stand against Sacramento and saying, look, we don't agree with the idea that you want to turn this entire state into a sanctuary for criminal aliens. Now we're seeing Orange County, California coming out and saying they may follow suit. Buena Park, California. And it really goes to show that despite the things that Governor Jerry Brown has said in Sacramento about the fact that they're going to allow criminal aliens to stay in the state and not to inform ICE that they have been released from local law enforcement, these local officials and local voters are saying enough is enough. We want to protect our own communities, and we are not on board with the policies that are coming out of the Capitol at this point.
It's a big state, right? I mean, we can agree on that, but all these cities are in the same county, and that's Orange County, California, near L.A. Arguably, probably a more conservative part of the state, whether it's the town of Aliso Viejo, I believe I got that right. You mentioned Buena Park, and Huntington Beach. And I don't know if it spreads beyond that. We shall see. Can a small town win against Sacramento?
I think that they can. It depends on what Sacramento wants to do, if they're going to try and punish these city councils for complying with federal immigration law. But it really comes down to these local communities saying, look, we don't want criminal aliens that ICE is trying to get out coming back into our communities. We've seen in Oakland, as the mayor warned before that ICE raid, that a number of those criminal aliens went out and recommitted violent crimes after that raid was conducted, and they happened not to be there. And so they're looking at this as a way to insulate themselves from the liberal leftist policies coming out of Sacramento. And going forward, the question is going to be how many of these cities, as you mentioned, more conservative cities, get on board. And I think as you see the result of the sanctuary state law play out, as you see more of these criminal aliens committing crimes, you will see local officials getting phone calls from their voters and saying, we want out, we want to be working with the federal government to get these people out of our communities.
It's almost a small federalist system there
right,
that you see developing here. Last point on this. If you're running one of these towns, and you've got a law that says you don't need to report to the feds, and you've got a dangerous criminal in your town, and they commit another crime, the liability comes back to you. And that must be a consideration.
Well, and Bill, it's not that they just maybe can't say that these criminals are in their town. It's against California law now to do so. So these city councils are trying to opt out of that. But you're absolutely right. The responsibility lies at the local level, which is why I think people are getting involved in saying we can stand up to this, and we do not want our policies and our community safety to be dictated from politicians in a city far away who don't have the best interests of citizens of California in mind when they decide to make the entire state a sanctuary city, so to speak, for these criminal aliens.
So let's see if it spreads. Thank you, Katie. Good to have you back.
Yep.
Katie Pavlis there in D.C. You bet. Thanks.
We are learning more about the suspect in the deadly string of bombings in Texas, the new details that are emerging from his video confession. Plus this.
This was a major breach of trust, and I'm really sorry that this happened. We need to make sure that there aren't any other Cambridge Analyticas out there.
Mark Zuckerberg breaking his silence on this massive data breach that affected some 50 million people. Will he testify before Congress? That lingers out there today.
And critics accusing Washington of being swept up in Mueller mania and say the hyperbole has gone too far. Texas Congressman John Ratcliffe sits on the Judiciary Committee and joins us next. But first, here's Senator Rand Paul.
Congress always tries to sort of get in the middle of stuff, but most of the time I think it's unseemly. It becomes like a kangaroo court. Even all this stuff over the Russia investigation, it's all kangaroo court as far as I'm concerned. There is a real investigation, which is Mueller and a criminal investigation.
People would stare. Psoriasis does that.
It was tough getting out there on stage.
I wanted to be clear. I wanted it to last.
So I kept on fighting.
I found something that worked and keeps on working.
Now they see me.
See me.
See if Cosentyx could make a difference for you. Cosentyx is proven to help people with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis find clear skin that can last. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting Cosentyx, you should be checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you've received a vaccine or plan to. If you have inflammatory bowel disease, tell your doctor if symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
Never give up.
See me.
See me.
Clear skin can last.
Don't hold back. Ask your dermatologist if Cosentyx can help you find clear skin that lasts. If you've been turned down for a mortgage because of credit or tax return issues, Cash Call Mortgage now has credit and income-solving mortgages with no closing costs. Just call 855-890-CASH and we'll work with you to find a solution to your mortgage issues.
How does Pods help remove the stress from storage? We deliver a container. You fill it up with things you're keeping for later and forever. Whenever you're ready, just call us. We'll drive your locked container to one of our secure storage centers. Pods.
TrueCar is great for finding new cars. You're smart, you already knew that. But it's also great for finding the perfect used car. You'll see what a fair price is, and you can connect with a TrueCar certified dealer. Now you're even smarter. This is TrueCar.
When my doctor put me on a cholesterol-lowering statin drug, I knew I should take CoQ10 with it. I take Cunol CoQ10. Why? Because Cunol has 3 times better absorption than regular CoQ10. Cunol, the better CoQ10.
Have you been told you need neck or back surgery? If so, you do have a choice. Call Laser Spine Institute and say yes to a pain-free life with our minimally invasive spine surgery. It's safer than open back surgery, letting you get back to living life on your terms.
I can lift my son high over my head again.
If you have spinal stenosis, bulging or herniated disc, sciatica, or other chronic spine conditions,
call 1-800-736-BACK now for your free MRI review.
Thanks to a less than 1-inch incision, you'll be up and walking within hours of surgery, so you can get back to your life in days instead of months.
I feel like Laser Spine Institute was an answer to prayer.
Join the thousands of people every year who say goodbye to chronic neck and back pain with Laser Spine Institute. Make today the day you say yes to living a pain-free life.
Call 1-800-736-BACK now for your free MRI review.
A Fox Fox News Alert, the death of Texas bombing suspect Mark Condit bringing relief to the city of Austin, but still no word on a motive of that killer. Investigators are now scourging his home, social media, and background for any clues. Rudy Koski from our Fox affiliate in Austin joins us now live with what we're learning there. Good morning.
Good morning, Sandra. You hit it right off the top right there. There is a collective relief here in the Austin community as the work week finally is coming to a close, and so is this investigation. Authorities tell us that they are confident that 23-year-old Mark Anthony Condit is the Austin bomber that they have been looking for. He blew himself up as police closed in on him yesterday morning on I-35 in the Round Rock area. That's just north of town. Now, this morning, federal agents with the ATF, they are back at Condit's home in Pflugerville, which is about northeast. It's a suburb of Austin, northeast of town. They're continuing to collect and process evidence from inside that house that they say will link him and continues to link him to the attacks that started here in the Austin area on March the 2nd. The bombs killed 2 people, injured 4 here in the Austin area, causing this whole community to go into a mode of we don't know what's happening and almost a complete lockdown feeling that we were having here in the community. The motive for all this remains unknown this morning, despite a 25-minute long cell phone video that Condit made. Investigators say in the video, which they have not released officially to the public, in the video he provides details about the different types of bombs that he constructed. That was a big part of this investigation because the bombs seemed to change somewhat, although we're hearing that the main core of the bomb possibly was just a pipe bomb and being used. Authorities believe that there are no more package bombs in the area, but several federal agents are remaining here in the Austin area to help wrap up this investigation. But as of today, a collective calm and a huge thanks to all the investigators locally, state, and federal that have helped bring this investigation to a close. Now back to you in the studio.
Such a huge sense of relief for the residents down there. Thank you very much.
Everybody wants you to show up. Will you testify before Congress?
So the short answer is I'm happy to if it's the right thing to do. And our objective is always to provide Congress with this extremely important job to have the most information that they can.
Mark Zuckerberg saying he'd be willing to testify before Congress if it is determined that he is the right person to answer the questions. Meanwhile, some company officials from Facebook will meet with staffers from the House Judiciary Committee today. A member from that committee, Texas Congressman John Ratcliffe, with me now. And sir, thanks for coming back here on America's Newsroom. You're not going to be in that meeting, but what questions do you have at the moment?
Well, I think the meeting, Bill, is setting up the parameters for Mr. Zuckerberg and other representatives from Facebook to come to Capitol Hill to testify about this issue. You know, hopefully, and I do think that he should come and testify. What I do hope, though, is that we focus on the larger picture here about privacy and trust in the digital age. I think this is really more of a privacy issue than it is a political issue at this point in time. But we need to find out what Facebook was doing to enforce its privacy policies on behalf of its 2.2 billion users worldwide.
I think that's fair. So they're basically setting the parameters during this meeting today, if the or when rather the hearing happens. That's what I heard you say.
That is what I said, Bill. I think, you know, hopefully it is Mr. Zuckerberg. He is the representative, I think, best able to speak for Facebook and to its 2.2 billion users that have real concerns about their sensitive personal information that they have entrusted to companies like Facebook and other social media platforms.
When you think about a company that's got 2 billion followers, right? You know, Democrats are steaming mad about this. I mean, they're hacked off. It appears more so than Republicans are. I don't know why that is. Perhaps the left thought that big tech was in their corner for a long time. Perhaps, you know, the Russia collusion story is falling apart and you're still looking for a reason to explain the election loss of 2016. How much consideration have you given that to this story?
Well, I think it's fair to consider it, but I do think that goes to the issue of making this political rather than a privacy issue. I think the reason for that, Bill, is that Democrats wonder whether or not the Cambridge Analytica was part of some plan to help the Trump campaign. Thus far, it appears that whether the Trump campaign even accessed that information is in question, and even if it did, its impact was likely de minimis. But I think those are fair questions to ask, but I hope that's not lost in the larger picture about privacy and trust in the digital age and social media platforms that control so much information about Americans, and having that discussion in public before the American people with people like Mark Zuckerberg, I think is really important.
Sounds like a rat hole. I mean, I don't know how deep it runs. Do you have any idea?
I think that that's why you have hearings and bring folks like Mark Zuckerberg in to testify. I think there's so much that we don't know about companies like Facebook that we entrust our personal information to, whether or not they're really trying to enforce their own privacy policies, how privacy tools are being utilized, and I think those are things that, more importantly, people are going to be focusing on down the road.
All right. Do you have anything to say on what's going to come out on the Russia matter today? Do you have any information we need to know now?
I don't know of any significant developments, although, as you know, Bill, this is a very fluid situation that changes rapidly. I know that there are a lot of calls right now by folks to end the special counsel investigation by Robert Mueller. I'm not in that camp. What I would like to see, though, is Bob Mueller's boss rein in the investigation. I think part of the problem here is that the order under which Bob Mueller is operating, I think appropriately allowed him to look into links and coordination between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. I think that was appropriate. But there's another phrase in there that allows him to look at any matters which arise from the investigation. And that's really a blank check for a prosecutor to, instead of investigating and prosecuting crime, to investigate and prosecute people, folks like Rick Gates and Paul Manafort, for activities that happened a decade before they even knew Donald Trump.
Sounds like another rat hole. Sir, thank you for your time. You come back, okay?
You bet. Thanks,
John
Bill.
Ratcliffe, you bet, from Texas. Thanks.
We're going to bring your attention to a Fox News alert here to Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the House Intel Committee. He's speaking on Capitol Hill right now, most recently going off on Steve Bannon. Are we going to listen here at all? Okay. So Adam Schiff talking right now. We're going to monitor this for you for any news and bring it to you as we get it. Meanwhile, the U.S. is going after ISIS after a deadly terror attack overseas. What we're learning about this operation, plus this.
This funds the wall, fixes the military, fights opioids, does the things that we said, and does not fund Gateway, gives Donald Trump the decision on Gateway.
House Speaker Paul Ryan on board with the proposed $1.3 trillion federal spending bill. But will the GOP rank and file follow Speaker Ryan in voting for the bill? Or could we see yet another government shutdown come tomorrow night?
When someone watches the news, they want someone they can trust. Our job is to cut through the talking points.
We're going to ask the tough questions because there's a lot of conventional wisdom out there that needs to be challenged.
What I'm doing is making sure that whatever is developed through the day, people are fully informed from coast to coast.
We're 24/7 news, but we're really down to the minute.
We're going to be fearless. We're going to be fair.
Whether it's 4 a.m. or midnight, we're there.
When our country used to flex its muscle with battleships like the USS Iowa, the world would listen. It's time we return to the America I remember. Hi, I'm William Devane. There are dangerous forces everywhere pulling our country apart, threatening our economy and our way of life. That's why I'm going to do two things: support our military and buy gold from Rosslyn Capital. I've never felt safe relying on paper money to protect my assets. That's why I buy gold from Rosslyn. With Rosslyn, what you order is what you get. No gimmicks, no nonsense, no hassle. We're all safer with our ships patrolling the seas. And my assets are a whole lot safer with gold from Rosslyn Capital. So ask yourself, are you safe?
Call now to get your free gold, silver, and IRA kits. Call 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900.
This is where you're wide awake, but it feels like a dream, where you can roam endlessly, walk on water, or under it, where life expresses itself as an endless flow of energy, where there's only one question: Are you ready? Atlantis, Bahamas at heart.
Book by March 31st for the best summer rates at 1-800-ATLANTIS or AtlantisBahamas.com.
When I received the diagnosis, I knew at that exact moment, whatever it takes, wherever I have to go, I'm beating this. My main focus was to find a team of doctors that work together.
When a patient comes to CTCA, they're meeting a team of physicians that specialize in the management of cancer.
Breast cancer treatment is continuing to evolve, and I would say that CTCA is definitely on the cusp of those changes.
Patients can be overwhelmed. We really focus on taking the time with each individual patient so that they can choose the treatment appropriate for them.
The care that CTCA brings is the kind of care I've always wanted for my patients. Being able to spend time with them, have a whole team to look after them is fantastic.
I empower women with choices. And it's not just picking a surgeon, it's picking the care team and feeling secure where you are.
Surround yourself with a team of breast cancer experts at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Visit cancercenter.com/breast. Appointments available now.
Hiring was always a huge challenge. Endless hours on job sites with not a lot to show for it. Then I found ZipRecruiter. They figured out hiring. I post my job, they put it all over the web, and they send me the right people because their technology is smart. ZipRecruiter often sends me the right person in 24 hours.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Try it for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/Fox.
Fox News Alert, as we mentioned before the break, Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the House Intel Committee, was speaking moments ago after exiting a committee meeting on Russia. He was speaking tough on Steve Bannon, making news saying that there are motions to hold Bannon in contempt. And of course, that would be big news. Let's listen to what he said just a few moments ago.
We had motions to hold Mr. Bannon in contempt, as well as about a dozen motions to require subpoenas for those who had refused to answer questions, either because they had made claims of illusory privilege or simply made no claim but refused to answer our questions nonetheless. We also moved to issue subpoenas for a wide set of documents. We will continue to press the majority to make the votes on those issues public, as well as the discussion and debate that occurred around them. Suffice it to say, though, that the majority was not interested in conducting any further investigation, even when the flaws in what we have done so far have become so apparent over the course of the last week. But our work will go on nonetheless. We will be submitting minority views. We will also be conducting additional interviews and obtaining additional documents. And indeed, that work has never stopped. We're very pleased that witnesses have decided to continue to cooperate with our committee, even if the majority will not be participating. But a rather sad chapter in our committee's long history. With the ending of the majority's participation in the investigation, that ending taking place in secret session for no reason at all, except a desire to avoid the public scrutiny of this decision to curtail an investigation into one of the most serious intrusions into our democracy in our history. I'm happy to answer a couple questions, and I'm going to have to run up to vote.
Did the committee vote to release the Republican report or declassify the Republican report today?
I will let the majority discuss with you what they decided to do. All I can tell you is that all of the majority motions were rejected.
Republicans held out the offer to that.
You've been listening to Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the House Intel Committee. They have just concluded a meeting talking about the Steve Bannon, the former White House chief strategist, making news. They're saying that we have motions to hold Steve Bannon in contempt, although noting that that would require prior approval. The House Intel today, we know, is voting on that report, expected to be on party lines. According to our reporting, the report then goes on to declassification review. coup. You just heard Schiff calling the Russia probe a sad chapter, finding no common ground with Republicans. Republican findings, he said, are completely political. As far as the document is concerned, Democrats will continue to interview witnesses and gather information, though majority has closed the investigative phase. He also made a little bit of news on Facebook as well, saying he wants an interview with the whistleblower in that. Let's bring in Jessica Tarlov, Democratic strategist, senior director of research with Bustle.com, author of America in the Age of Trump, and a Fox News contributor, and Steve Hilton, host of The Next Revolution. Steve, I want to start with you and your thinking on what you just heard from the Democrat there on the House Intel Committee.
Honestly, Sandra, it was just a big sigh from me. I mean, Adam Schiff there talked about a sad chapter. I think most people would conclude this is a really sad book. Aren't people just sick and tired of all this? Adam Schiff, here's the two big points I think we need to think about. First of all, for Adam Schiff, this is all about building his personal political profile. He's planning to run for president, unlikely as that sounds, and he wants to keep his name in the news, and this is all a vehicle for his personal ambition. The second point, the much more serious one, however, is that this personal vendetta that they're pursuing about collusion and the president and his inner circle gets in the way of the really big point, which is that Russia has been interfering in our democracy in incredibly destructive ways and other nefarious activities around the world, and it's really time that we actually stood up to them and put in place the tough sanctions, particularly on energy, that will show Russia that they can't just go around the world behaving in this way. And I think that's the really big point. The longer that they go on with this focus on the narrow point of collusion, we're not going to get to the big point about what Russia's doing to democracies all over the world.
Jessica?
Well, I think that we can walk and chew gum on this point, and I'm heartened to see that so many Republicans now who were ignoring the election interference factor are now paying attention, starting with former CIA Director Mike Pompeo, current Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, saying that we aren't prepared enough to handle this, and they are already interfering for the 2018 midterms. But I think what Adam Schiff said that was really important here, we said the minority is going to continue to put information out there. And if the majority in the House Intelligence Committee has decided that they're done, they're going to have to do something to combat that. We're going to get into a world where we only have one side pumping information out there. And we all have accepted how partisan this has become. And I think that that's incredibly dangerous. Obviously, we would all prefer if this could be bipartisan, but think about that reality where on a daily, weekly basis, Democrats are saying we're finding this, this, and this, and Republicans are saying, oh, it's all closed up. And I think that that could be really tough for the American public to know what's going on.
You said this is not a sad chapter, it's a sad book. Let me just get this in here. So his exact words, the majority was not interested in conducting any further investigation, but our work will go on nonetheless. So the book is not over, Steve.
To what end? Look, we've got the Mueller probe. Why did these politicians have to get involved? What are they adding to any of this? Mueller, by all accounts, is doing a very thorough job. You can agree with it or disagree with it, but he's getting on with it. He's got a big team. You can say that the team is biased. All those points can be made, but that's the focus. Why on earth are these politicians on Capitol Hill wasting time on this rather than addressing real issues that affect people's lives, like jobs and healthcare and all the things that people watching today really care about?
It's tough stuff. All right, guys, thanks for jumping on that breaking news for us. Steve, Jessica, thank you.
They're keeping it in the bloodstream. In a moment here, the father of a teenager with Down syndrome taking legal action against the Boy Scouts of America. What's behind this lawsuit? Coming up.
I used to let my diabetes rule my life. Now, I'm stronger than that, more determined. I'll never let it slow me down again. Now, my day begins. I need something that tastes great, curbs my hunger, and provides longer-lasting energy without spikes. Extend bars are scientifically developed to help control blood sugar for up to 6 to 9 hours, outperforming typical nutrition bars. Take back control with Extend.
New Day USA has helped thousands of veterans get the money they need for their family and home.
Thank you, Admiral.
By helping them use the valuable VA home loan benefit they've earned with their service.
Thank you, Admiral.
It lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value.
Thank you, Admiral.
With today's high home values, that can mean a lot more money to pay debts and get ahead.
Thank you, Admiral.
It's an honor to help you get the peace of mind that every veteran and their family deserves.
Call 1-844-383-1575.
Is your body storing fat more easily? Do you suffer from a lack of energy? Or the draining side effects of restless sleep? How about an increase in wrinkles and even sagging skin?
Hi, I'm Kim Douglas, and as a beauty expert always on the hunt for the next great breakthrough, when I heard about a youth hormone that was associated with reducing body fat, increasing lean muscle mass, and even reducing the appearance of wrinkles, I just had to learn more. I'm talking about human growth hormone, or HGH, and as early as our mid-20s, our natural production of HGH begins to drop dramatically. Here's the good news. Finally, there's Serovital.
Serovital is the first and only amino acid complex shown in a clinical trial to trigger the body's own natural release of HGH from the pituitary gland and increase mean HGH levels by an astonishing 682%.
HGH has been associated with reducing body fat, reducing the appearance of wrinkles, improving sleep, and even boosting energy. As a doctor and a woman, I am very excited that now I can tell women everywhere about Serovital.
Serovital boosts your HGH naturally and at a fraction of the cost of painful injections. Serovital sells for $99 in stores. But call right now because we're letting as many women as possible try Serovital for 30 days absolutely risk-free. Plus, call in the next 6 minutes and we'll also include free shipping. You owe it to yourself to try Serovital for 30 days. It's absolutely risk-free.
Serovital is a true scientific breakthrough, 20 years in the making.
Get the facts at myserovital.com. Supplies are limited. Call 1-800-916-2023 or go to myserovital.com for your risk-free trial today.
U.S. and Afghan special forces attacking ISIS in Afghanistan. The operation comes one day after a deadly bombing in Kabul. ISIS claimed responsibility for a blast that killed dozens of people. This is the latest in a series of raids against the terror army in recent months.
Now to a lawsuit against the Boy Scouts of America, accusing the group of discriminating against a 15-year-old boy with Down syndrome. That's the allegation. Alicia Cunha has the story now. The case from Denver, Colorado. Alicia?
Hi, Bill. Yeah, 15-year-old Logan Blythe's father calls this the, quote, very definition of discrimination. But the Boy Scouts of America says this is being made into something that it's not. Here's Logan. He's the Utah teen with Down syndrome whose family has filed suit against the Scouts for $1 and Logan's reinstatement. His family says it received a letter from the Scouts that his Eagle project had been suspended because the accommodations for his disability that had been allowed by the local chapter hadn't been approved by a formal application. Logan's dad says his son's low-functioning Down syndrome prevents him from meeting all of the requirements.
In this particular boy's case, this is as much as he can do. Let's accept that and give him the badge. Why? Because he's A, tried, and B, done his best.
In a statement, the organization says the process of achieving the Eagle Scout rank is rigorous for any Scout, but it is designed so that accommodations can be made for Scouts with disabilities or special needs. The National Disabilities Advancement Team wants to work directly with the Blythe family to review what Logan has accomplished based on his abilities and help determine a path to earn the Eagle Scout rank that is both appropriate and empowering for him. You can see the teen sash there, 22 badges he has worked to earn over several years. His family says this whole thing has diminished his interest in the Scouts and he stopped going to meetings. But to be clear, Bill, the Boy Scouts say they do want to apologize for any confusion and they still believe there's a path for him to earn his rank as an Eagle Scout. We have reached back out to the Boy Scouts of America to see if there's some sort of disconnect here that seems to be occurring between the family and the Scouts to get this figured out.
Okay, updates when we get it. Thanks, Alicia, on that story in Denver.
President Trump set to deliver a strong message to China as he prepares to unveil $50 billion in tariffs on some Chinese imports. Beijing, however, vowing to respond in kind. A live report from the White House in just moments.
BP's natural gas teams use Smart App technology to share data from any well instantly, so they can analyze trends and stop potential problems in their tracks. Because safety is never being satisfied and always working to be better.
Your digestive system has billions of bacteria, but life can throw them off balance.
Try Align, the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic with a unique strain that realigns your system. Realign yourself with Align.
Do you suffer aches and pains from poor circulation? Are tired, aching legs stopping you from enjoying life? You don't have to suffer any longer. Relieve your aches and pains with Revitive Medic Circulation Booster, a new drug-free home treatment cleared by the FDA that significantly improves circulation in your legs and feet. Just one relaxing session a day, and you'll feel back in control. Medical conditions, age, or inactivity can cause poor circulation. The result, aches and pains that ruin your everyday life. Only Revitive Medic's patented wide pulse waveforms stimulate the nerve endings in your feet to get your lower leg muscles pumping and actively improve your circulation, relieve your aches and pains, and strengthen your leg muscles.
I have tried everything to get rid of my pain, and nothing has worked like Revitive.
Without Revitive.
It makes a big difference, quality of life. It's nice to have that filling back and have the control back.
Award-winning design makes Revitive Medic easy to use. Just place your feet on the foot pads and increase the intensity using the remote control. In minutes, you'll be enjoying relief as Revitive's clinically proven impulses take your aches and pains away. Discover why 94 out of 100 people who try Revitive keep it. Because it works. Try risk-free with our 60-day money-back guarantee. If Revitive Medic doesn't relieve your aches and pains, return it and we'll refund the purchase price, the shipping, and even pay the return shipping. That's how confident we are in the power of Revitive. Call 1-800-369-8362 or go to tryrevitive.com right now. That's 1-800-369-8362.
You don't have to live with pain. You just have to take the leap and try Revitive.
Wayfair, you got just what I need. It's the feeling of done and done. It's so much fun. Easy as a click, and done comes quick. It can even look crazy. That's fun and done, baby. Get a deal done, or fancy looks fun. Just kick back, relax. With Wayfair, you're done. You know the feeling, yeah, that's the one. It's the feeling of done and done. It's so much.
Bring home the feeling at Wayfair.com.
You are likely aware that 60 Minutes is going to have an interview on Sunday night with Stormy Daniels making accusations against the president. With that as a backdrop, we got this picture 1 hour ago from a beautiful setting at the White House today. There's the first couple with the snow behind them. Melania sending that out today, the First Lady on her official Twitter account. So
beautiful picture.
Share that with you, yeah.
Right.
Make it a great day.
Thank you. I'll see you at 2, by the way. Happening Now starts right now.
A Fox News alert, the Austin bombing suspect recording a video confession before his death. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Happening Now. I'm Rick Leventhal, in for John Scott.
And I'm Julie Banderas, and good afternoon to you. The recording happening as police were closing in on the accuser killer, Mark Anthony Condit. He is the suspect who later blew himself up. Police say the footage shows just how troubled he really was, all 25 minutes of it, but it doesn't exactly explain why he did it.
That's what is so random, and I think everybody in my hometown is asking why these victims? Is there any interconnection between the victims? We also know, Bill, he had a target list of future targets, residences, addresses that we found. I think he had pulled these addresses to, these are his future targets.
Jonathan Hunt is in Pflugerville, just outside of Austin, where Condit lived. Jonathan, what can we expect next in this investigation?
Well, good morning, Rick. The investigation is ongoing. Investigators, of course, probing the methods and the motives of Mark Condit. And this is ground zero for that investigation. That is the house behind me there, the small yellow home where Condit lived with his 2 roommates, and where he apparently prepared some, perhaps all of the bombs he used. ATF officials tell us that they have inside that home found bomb-making components. They would not describe it as a bomb-making factory, but they do say that the components matched those used in each of the attacks. They are also poring over every minute of this video that Condit left behind, made on his phone. Now, we first got word of the existence of such a thing about 24 hours ago from our sources, but for various reasons we held off reporting until the police chief confirmed the existence of that video. He says on it, Condit explains how and why he came to this point in his life where he felt he needed to carry out these attacks. He also explains exactly how he built each bomb. Listen here to the police chief.
On this recording, the suspect describes the 6 bombs that he constructed with a level of specificity that he identified the differences among those 6 bombs. We have told you all along that they all had similarities, which they did as far as specific components, but there were also differences between them. And on this recording, he identified what those differences were.
Officials also tell us that they are now relatively confident, in fact have a high level of certainty that there are no other bombs out there in the public, as they put it. A huge sigh of relief for the people of Austin who have been terrorized by these 6 attacks in total that first began on March 2nd. The final bomb, of course, set off by Mark Condit as he sat in his old model Nissan Pathfinder outside a hotel just north of downtown Austin as police closed in. His final act, taking his own life with one of his bombs. Rick?
Jonathan Hunt in Pflugerville. Jonathan, thanks very much.
A Fox News alert as the president gets ready to take action against China, signing a memorandum about an hour from now that will slap trade sanctions on that country for stealing American technology. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts is live on the North Lawn. John?
Julie, good morning to you. And the president, less than an hour from now, expected to sign a memorandum that could impose possible tariffs amounting to somewhere between $30 and $50 billion on select Chinese goods. U.S. officials here at the White House say that these are not punitive tariffs. They're describing them as protective tariffs designed to recover damages from what the White House says are China's unfair trade practices, including forced technology transfer for companies looking to gain access to the Chinese market. China is responding to just the threat of tariffs, indicating it may be willing to compromise on the massive U.S.-China trade deficit. The Chinese Premier Li Keqiang earlier today. Listen here.
What I hope is that we can act rationally, rather than being led by emotions, in order to avoid a trade war. Our import tariffs, by world standards, are at a medium level. We are willing to adopt an even more open posture and gradually reduce tariffs for some popular consumer products.
The president also expected to announce today investment restrictions on China. These are being imposed to prevent China from capturing the technology businesses of the future and stealing American intellectual property. The National Association of Manufacturers urging the president to go ahead cautiously on this in a statement this morning, saying, quote, tariffs are one proposed response, but they are likely to create new challenges in the form of significant added costs for manufacturers and American consumers. In addition to these challenges, tariffs also run the risk of provoking China to take further destructive actions against American manufacturing workers. The threat of tariffs not sitting well with the stock market today either. The Dow down more than 400 points now, but as we saw with the imposition of tariffs, or at least the announcement of tariffs a couple of weeks ago, the Dow was down for a while and then rebounded. The president also giving his stamp of approval, somewhat grudgingly, to the $1.3 trillion omnibus spending bill that Congress is going to be voting on. The president tweeting this morning, quote, got $1.6 billion to start wall on the southern border. The rest will be forthcoming. Most importantly, got $700 billion to rebuild our military, $716 billion next year, the most ever. Had to waste money on Dem giveaways in order to take care of military pay increase and new equipment. While the president did get $1.6 billion for some 90 miles of border barriers and technologies, he did not get the multi-year, multi-billion-dollar funding that he was looking for that massive concrete and steel wall that he saw prototypes of last week, nor did he get the money for an additional border agents that he wanted at $1.3 trillion as well. This spends a lot more than what the president wanted, but didn't have much choice. Here's his legislative director, Mark Short, earlier today.
There's no doubt that it provides more non-defense spending than we would like. But the alternative is to shut down the government, not provide our military the resources they need, not provide the border security we need.
And a possible preview of a potential 2020 matchup, the president going to war with Joe Biden, the former vice president, who is rumored to be a potential 2020 candidate. On Tuesday, in a speech at the University of Miami, Biden said if he and the president were in high school together, he would have, quote, beaten the hell out of President Trump over his treatment of women. In response, the president tweeted this morning, "Crazy Joe Biden is trying to act like a tough guy. Actually, he is weak, both mentally and physically, and yet he threatens me for the second time with physical assault. He doesn't know me, but he would go down fast and hard, crying all the way. Don't threaten people, Joe." Julie, if those two go up against each other in 2020, what we saw in 2016 will pale in comparison.
I love a good cat fight. All right, John Roberts, thank you.
Thank you.
Rick.
Well, the White House is now calling it a, quote, fireable offense that someone leaked President Trump's briefing materials, warning him against congratulating Russian President Vladimir Putin on his re-election. This breach raising concerns that some members of Trump's own staff could be trying to undermine him.
No, I don't like he did it, but you know what I like even less? That there's somebody close to him leaking this stuff out. If you don't like the guy, quit. But to be this duplicitous and continue to leak things out, it's dangerous. And so I don't like what he did, but I really hate that there's someone in his inner circle that's willing to leak this stuff. And if you don't like working for the president, you should resign your job.
Joining me now, Jill Colvin, White House reporter for the Associated Press. Thanks for being with us, Jill.
Thanks for having me.
So this isn't just about flipping the script, that he wasn't supposed to congratulate Putin. They're calling this a serious security breach.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the first day of fallout on this story was the concern over the fact that the president actually congratulated Putin on this win in an undemocratic election. But the fallout continues now for the fact that this piece of guidance to the president, this written piece of guidance, was leaked. And this is something that has infuriated Chief of Staff Kelly and also really, really angered the president, who feels, look, we have had endless leaks in this White House, especially in the early days. But you saw a pattern before where those leaks were often intended to embarrass somebody. You know, if you were a staffer who was up against another staffer, you would try to leak damaging information about them. You'd try to leak damaging information about a particular policy as part of your fight to kind of make the policy that you wanted actually be implemented and taken up by the president. This is different, and the president really feels like the reason this was leaked was an effort to embarrass him, an effort to undermine him, and is kind of part of this concern that he's had now since he got into office about this, what he calls this deep state of career officials who he feels like are trying to undermine him.
And we heard from Senator Rubio. We also heard from a former National Security Council official in the Obama administration who said, if you're leaking presidential talking points, you're not serving the president and you should not be at the White House.
Yeah, look, you know, there's a very few number of people who would have seen this document, who would have been responsible for writing it. Our understanding is that it was done by aides to H.R. McMaster. We know that the president is not happy with McMaster. He has been considering now for a long time replacing him. At this point, we're not sure about the timing. We're not sure about who he's going to replace him with. The president has not made that decision yet. But, I mean, the anger here is palpable. And this just is kind of one more strike against McMaster and his staff right now.
There's lots more to discuss on this, Jill Colvin, but we're out of time. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
It is being called Facebook's worst crisis yet after a firm linked to the Trump campaign accessed the data of millions of its users. The impact this could have on the social networking giant. Plus, growing concerns about Russia yet again interfering with our now upcoming midterm elections and what U.S. lawmakers can do to try and stop it. And do they have enough time to fix it? Senator Lindsey Graham will join me next live. But first, here's Senator John Cornyn.
We know what they did in 2016, but we don't know what they might do in 2018, which could, in a close election, affect the outcome, and that would be devastating for our country.
Keep your insights from prying eyes so they won't be used by anyone but you. The IBM Cloud, the cloud for smarter business.
At Joseph A. Bank, save up to 60% off almost everything. All 1905 and executive sport coats, $149. All dress shirts, 2 for $89. Plus, get all traveler suits, $249. And find exactly what you're looking for. The up to 60% off sale, only at Joseph A. Bank.
If you are considering silver for your savings and retirement accounts, here is an amazing offer from Lear Capital. Now you can receive $200, $500, up to $2,000 worth of these all-new silver Snowy Owl coins free with a qualifying purchase. The Snowy Owl is made from the finest silver of any coin in the world. Its popular 1.5-ounce size makes it both valuable and affordable. And because it comes with a government guarantee, it's IRA eligible. With the price of silver so low, now is the perfect time to stop considering silver and own it. Call Lear Capital at 1-800-769-8500 and see how you can earn up to $2,000 worth of silver Snowy Owl coins free with a qualifying purchase. Plus, the first 50 callers receive this exclusive report, Sky High Silver. See what's driving demand and why it could send silver prices soaring. Call 1-800-769-8500. 1-800-769-8500.
Exploring the heart of historic Europe with Viking, you'll get closer to iconic landmarks, to local life and legendary treasures as you sail on board our patented, award-winning Viking longships. You'll enjoy many extras, including Wi-Fi, cultural enrichment from ship to shore, and engaging excursions. Viking, voted #1 river cruise line by Condé Nast readers. Learn more at vikingcruises.com.
Mr. Cooper has customers all over America. They're homeowners who use their home equity to pay off their credit card debt, and now they're paying less every month. Like Joan from Corona, California. Her refinance loan lowered her debt payments by $546 a month. And Zach from Springfield, Illinois. He's paying $518 less every month and not writing checks to 5 credit card companies. And Michael from Charlotte, North Carolina. His refinance loan lowered his debt payments by $538 a month. Mr. Cooper's not a bank. We're one of America's largest home loan lenders. We treat you right from the first call and stay with you long after your loan closes. We can tell you in minutes if you could lower your monthly payments. We'll give you a free, personalized loan summary that you can talk over with your family. Is that different? Yes. Is it better? Get in touch with us and see for yourself.
Go to MrCooper.com or call 1-888-884-3798.
Get this, Russia may already be trying to interfere with the midterm elections. That's right, the CIA saying it already is seeing Russian activities. The Senate Intelligence Committee suggesting ways to stop it, like, for example, using voting machines without Wi-Fi. But whatever the solution may be, it needs to happen soon. Listen.
The threat of interference remains, and we recognize that the 2018 midterm and future elections are clearly potential targets for Russian hacking attempts. In 2016, we know that Russian actors targeted state election systems. We have no evidence that votes were changed as a result of their efforts. However, the threat of interference remains, and we recognize that the 2018 midterm and future elections are clearly potential targets for Russian hacking attempts.
Joining me now is Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, great to see you as always.
Thank you.
This is so disturbing that we're actually talking about this. I mean, we haven't even punished Russia for interfering in our presidential election. And here we are ahead of the 2018 midterms, and they somehow have a hand in that too. What is emboldening Russia in order to give them the power to do such a thing?
The lack of consequences from what they did in 2016. The sanctions we imposed are not enough. When they invaded the Ukraine and took Crimea back, the world basically gave them a pass. They're up to no good in Syria, and the Western world's just basically AWOL when it comes to pushing back on Russia. So if I were President Trump, I would call Putin up and say, this will stop if you continue to interfere in our democratic process. We're going to declare economic war on you. We're going to grind you into the ground economically, and the cost of doing business in America is going to go up when it comes to your misadventures. And if you don't talk to Putin that way, you're wasting your time.
Speaking of talking to Putin, as you know, the president just had a conversation with him. I'm wondering how might the president's relationship, as he calls it, good chemistry, with Vladimir Putin possibly stop this from happening again, not just 2018, but the next presidential election. I mean, this is really threatening stuff. Russia has attempted apparently to infiltrate voting systems in at least 21 states.
Right. Well, what's coming next is changing voting totals. They actually can do that. We've had some demonstrations where they could actually go into a voting machine and change the tally. Look at the Pennsylvania race, 600 votes. How easy would it be to change the 2000 election where Florida presidential was decided by 500 votes? Well, all I can say is when it comes to Russia, President Trump is not getting the results we want. When it comes to North Korea, he's been awesome. North Korea fears Trump. When it comes to Iran, he's defined the Iranian deal as unacceptable, and it is, and I think the Iranians are afraid of Trump. When it comes to Russia, what he's doing is not working, and he needs to be as tough on Putin as he's been on Kim Jong-un.
The Senate Intelligence Committee released some disturbing information yesterday, but also proposals to prevent this from happening in 2018.
Right.
Some of their ideas include implementing stronger channels of communication between federal, state, and local election officials. That seems like an obvious must. But also to increase cybersecurity measures on election systems, recommending using voting machines, not only that don't actually have Wi-Fi, but that actually have some form of a paper trail. And I believe, you know, one of the committee members, Democrat Senator Harris, put it in the best way possible. Russia can't hack a piece of paper. Do we just need to go back in time and maybe go back to the Chad system? They can't certainly mess up the Chad system.
Well, here's what I would suggest that we do all we can as soon as we can. I have legislation to form a 9/11 style commission where the leadership of the House and the Senate and the President can appoint people to look at hardening the 2018 election in the private sector. In 60 days, tell us from a private sector point of view what we could do. Right now, there is no federal standards when it comes to voting machines. The states are in charge of elections. That's fine. But I'd like somebody to build a voting machine that can't be hacked, that's cyber savvy. Right now, there is no federal standards or state standards how to protect a voting system from a cyber attack. We need to build a voting machine that can't be hacked into, or go back to paper, one of the two.
Take it offline until you can figure it out.
Totally.
All right, I want to talk to you about a change of topic here, a bill that is very near and dear to your heart, the Taylor Force Act, named, of course, after Taylor Force, an American hero who was brutally murdered during a visit to Israel at the hands of terrorists. Now, if this legislation is passed, it would push back against the Palestinian Authority, which actually pays monetary rewards to martyrs and their families for committing heinous murders. I can't understand why Democrats are slowing a bill down that would actually end American taxpayer dollars going to the Palestinian Authority if they don't stop rewarding terrorists.
Well, we finally got into the bill, and I want to thank Senator Schumer for getting it in the bill, but they wanted to make changes, our Democratic friends, to basically take the teeth out of it, and we resisted most of those changes. Taylor Force served a tour of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan. He graduated from West Point. He was going to Israel in a graduate program studying at an Israeli university, went out to dinner, got stabbed by a terrorist. They sent the body back to Ramallah because the IDF killed the terrorist, and they welcomed the body back as a martyr. His family, the terrorist family, got a big payment from the Palestinian Authority. If you go to jail in Israel, they pay you while you're in jail. If you die as a terrorist, they give your family a bunch of money, free health care and free education. So we're stopping all financial aid to the Palestinian Authority until they change their laws that incentivize young Palestinians to kill Jews and Americans, and we're no longer going to put up with this. So Taylor Force did not die in vain. His mother and father, Stuart and Robbie Force, were a driving force behind this legislation, and this is going to bring about change, I hope. No more money to the Palestinians until they change the way they do business.
As it should be. Senator Lindsey Graham, thank you very much as always. Appreciate talking to you. Rick.
Forecasters on high alert in California as the state braces for a powerful storm, why they're concerned about more than rain. Plus, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg responding to criticism after an outside company is accused of improperly accessing its information for millions of users.
In life, you have to adapt to your environment. That's why Jaguar has developed a unique, instinctive all-wheel drive system. It constantly monitors the road surface and driver inputs hundreds of times every second. Perfect dynamics, outstanding performance all year round. Jaguar all-wheel drive.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need cash? You need to know about the New Day 100 Home Loan for Veterans. It lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, not just 80%. And that can mean a lot more money for you and your family. With our military service, veterans like us have earned a valuable VA benefit, the right to apply for a VA home loan. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you refinance your mortgages, consolidate your credit card debt, put cash in the bank, and lower your payments an average of $600 a month. And New Day will even pay for your appraisal fee. That could save you up to $500 or more. So call New Day USA. They look at your whole financial picture, not just your credit score. And they'll do everything they possibly can to get you approved. Call them today and get the financial peace of mind every veteran deserves.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-844-383-1535.
I cannot imagine managing my diabetes without my Dexcom.
This is the Dexcom G5 Mobile Continuous Glucose Monitoring System. A small wearable sensor measures your glucose every 5 minutes and sends the data to a Dexcom receiver.
Dexcom helps lower A1C and improves quality of life. If you're over 65 and you have diabetes, you should have a Dexcom.
If you get a Dexcom, you're going to be very glad that you did.
Visit DexcomNow.com to learn more.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-650-4157.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-650-4157. Or visit SoClean.com today.
Fallout now from the Facebook scandal involving data mining, with employees of the social media giant meeting today with aides to the House Judiciary Committee, where they'll be asked to explain how Cambridge Analytica, a firm working for the Trump campaign, improperly accessed the information of millions of Facebook users. This comes a day after Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO and founder of Facebook, acknowledged this was a major breach of trust.
We have a basic responsibility to protect people's data. And if we can't do that, then we don't deserve to have the opportunity to serve people. We need to make sure that there aren't any other Cambridge Analyticas out there, right, or folks who have improperly accessed data. So we're going to go now and investigate every app that has access to a large amount of information from before we lock down our platform. And if we detect any suspicious activity, we're going to do a full forensic audit.
Joining us now, Howard Kurtz, Fox News media analyst, host of Media Buzz, and author of Media Madness, Donald Trump, the Press, and the War Over the Truth. Howie, good to see you.
Good morning.
These sound like things that they should have done already.
Exactly. I mean, look, Mark Zuckerberg has mishandled this from the beginning. He said nothing for 5 days. He was actually pretty weak in that CNN interview. He was vague. He was tentative. And then he hemmed and hawed when asked whether he'd testify before Congress. A memo to Zuck. You're the CEO. You're the face of the company. When Congress asks you to show up, you don't yammer on about, well, maybe I'll send some underling who knows more about than I do. You show up or you face a subpoena.
This has been called Facebook's worst crisis yet, and it appears to be basically a betrayal of trust for all those people who use it.
It is by far Facebook's worst crisis, and the problem is that Facebook just doesn't seem very good at crisis management. It always seems sort of a day late and a dollar short, to coin a phrase. And part of this, I think, is Mark Zuckerberg's stubborn refusal to admit that Facebook is basically one of the world's most influential media companies, not some neutral platform, and at the same time being unwilling or reluctant to spend the tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars it would take to fix some of these problems. And I think that it is opening the door now to government regulation, which in that interview even Zuckerberg acknowledged might be necessary. Yeah,
I just saw in our urgent queue that Israel is opening an investigation because privacy laws may have been broken. We also know that the Senate Intelligence Committee ranking member Mark Warner wants Zuckerberg to testify on Capitol Hill. Here's what he said.
I think it's important that the Facebook executives testify. Mark Zuckerberg should testify. But I'd also like to see the other social media companies' CEOs testify as well. I think we still don't have all the facts about how their tools were misused by the Russians and others, and frankly, now that this information is out, how potentially other adversaries, whether other foreign states or for that matter hucksters and fraudsters, could manipulate these social media platforms.
There's been so much talk about getting tougher on these social media sites. Howie, is this now the catalyst?
I think so. This has really broken through. There's no question Zuckerberg will end up on Capitol Hill. But you look at what's happened, Rick. And so Facebook knew about this Cambridge Analytica mess a couple of weeks ago, said nothing. It pushed back hard against The Guardian when it was breaking the story. It still hasn't notified the more than 50 million users, could be more, whose data was breached. And so all of this, it reminds me of, you know, the Russian infiltration of Facebook in 2016, where, again, first Zuckerberg minimized it, wasn't really a problem, and then he backtracked on that. And by the way, William Shatner has just complained that Facebook promoted some guy's page saying that he was dead. He got it taken down. So you have the 86-year-old Captain Kirk saying, don't let this happen again, Facebook, because I don't plan on dying.
There are critics who say that this is part of Facebook's business model, exploiting the value of user data.
Well, sure. I mean, Facebook's whole, zillion-dollar value is based on the fact that people like you and me and billions around the world, share a lot of information, knowing that some of it can be used, and then that advertisers use it to target people. And that's fine if you are doing that willingly. But when you get into the fake news and the foreign propaganda and the exploitation of some like Cambridge Analytica, maybe there are other firms that have done the same thing, then it is a betrayal of trust. I think Zuckerberg is starting to recognize that. But the question is he willing to take finally aggressive action to do something about it, or will that trust continue to erode?
Of course, there's one way to avoid all of this, Howie. Don't go on Facebook.
A lot of people, I think, are starting to have that idea, but it's difficult when, especially professionally, when so many people operate on that social network. Yeah. But, if it starts losing users, that market value is going to drop.
I'm guessing you'll talk about this on Sunday.
Absolutely.
All right. Good to see you, Howie.
Same here.
A Fox News alert, and Fox News now confirming John Dowd, the president's lead lawyer in the special counsel inquiry, has resigned. Apparently, Dowd, who took over the president's legal team last summer, had actually considered leaving several times in recent months, and then ultimately concluded that the president was increasingly ignoring his advice. In one instance in particular, the president had said that he wanted to sit down with a special counsel. He wanted to sit down with Robert Mueller and show his openness and honesty, and the lawyer did not agree with that. The special counsel's office wanting to sit down with the president. Unfortunately, his lawyer disagreed, and so the two have been sort of butting heads for quite some time. So now we are learning that, in fact, John Dowd has officially resigned, yet no word as to what or who will replace him and President Trump's attorney. So we will, of course, keep an eye on this. The director of the FBI says politics was not the thing that got his former deputy Andrew McCabe fired. We're going to tell you what Christopher Wray is saying about that now. And the House is voting on the spending bill today. House Speaker Paul Ryan is set to address the media any minute now, and we're going to take you there live when it happens.
There's just so much barking and noise and yelling. Our role is to take 3 steps back and discern what really matters.
The most important thing that we do, we are looking out for the forgotten men and women in this country.
They're going to get a straight shooter, no holds barred. I'm not going to cut people slack. The viewers expect that.
Fox is the one place where dissent is allowed.
We have voices. We won't be silent.
Who controls my voice? Nobody.
This is where life expresses itself as an endless flow of energy. Are you ready? Atlantis, Bahamas at heart.
Book by March 31st for the best summer rates at 1-800-Atlantis or AtlantisBahamas.com.
I'm Jacqueline.
Hi, I'm Heather.
My name is Julene.
I'm on Match because I'm ready to find my partner.
Looking for a real relationship?
I'm looking for a serious relationship.
With someone who can grow with me. Check out Match right now for free.
Peeling hard-boiled eggs is such a hassle. It takes forever and makes such a mess. Now make hard-boiled eggs the fast and easy way. Introducing Egglets, the new silicone sensation that lets you cook hard-boiled eggs without the shell. Just crack open the egg into the Egglets pod, twist on the top, and boil on your stovetop. In minutes, pop them out of the pod for perfect hard-boiled eggs. No hassle, no mess. The secret is the thermodynamic non-stick silicone material that allows the egg to cook just like it would inside the shell. No broken egg whites and no peeling. Now that's appealing. Make delicious deviled eggs, tasty egg salad. Make a mouth-watering chef salad without ever peeling an egg. Crack, boil, and pop with Egglets for perfect hard-boiled eggs every time. And Egglets is great for soft-boiled eggs too. Add cheese, onions, mushrooms, peppers, all your favorite vegetables for delicious omelets. Make an egg white omelet or use egg substitutes for healthy cholesterol-free food. Create fun-filled breakfast the little ones will love. Make Egglets in advance and store in the fridge. Ideal for breakfast on the go or a power-packed snack. Easy to clean, dishwasher-safe Egglets. Don't waste your time picking and peeling hard-boiled shells. Now just crack, boil, and pop with Egglets for perfect hard-boiled eggs without the hassle. Get your trio of Egglets for just $14.99. But wait, call now and we'll double your offer and give you 3 more Egglets absolutely free. With your order, you'll get the Egglets recipe guide. That's 6 Egglets and the recipe guide for only $14.99. And in this exclusive TV offer, you'll get the microwave egg cooker to make on-the-go egg muffins in just minutes. You get it all for $14.99. So don't wait. Order today.
To order your Egglets, call 1-800-713-6135. That's 1-800-713-6135. Or you can visit online at GetEgglets.com. That's GetEgglets.com. Don't delay. Call or click today.
Do you have a life insurance policy you no longer need or can't afford? Now you can sell your policy for an immediate payment.
We bought life insurance when our kids were young to protect their future.
Our youngest just turned 40, and we no longer needed the coverage.
That got us to thinking about letting our policy go. So I did some research and called Coventry Direct. I learned that you could sell all or part of a life insurance policy, even a term life policy. Turns out, people have been selling policies like ours for the past 15 years. Who knew? We sold our policy. Now we have money to help with the medical bills.
And to add to our retirement.
If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may be a candidate to sell your policy. Call 1-800-471-6800 or visit CoventryDirect.com for a free information packet. 1-800-471-6800. Coventry Direct, redefining insurance.
A Fox News alert. John Dowd, the president's lead lawyer in special counsel inquiry, has resigned. Effective today. Fox confirming this. Isaac Wright is a partner at Forward Solutions Strategy Group and a Democratic strategist. David Avella is the chairman of GOPAC. Thank you both for talking to us. Paul Ryan is going to be holding a news conference any moment now, so if I have to jump in, we'll get to that. But first, let's just ask, let me start with Isaac, that we've just learned that the lawyer for the special counsel investigation, John Dowd, has resigned. The president had called for an end to the inquiry. That's number one. Number two, David had actually considered leaving several times in recent months after the president was ignoring his advice. Dowd did not want him to sit down with Robert Mueller. The president wanted to sit down with Mueller in the special counsel's office. The two were at a head on that one. Isaac, what do you think of this decision?
Look, Donald Trump has to be getting hot under the collar, right? The investigation's closing in. There have been 19 individuals and 3 companies charged with felonies so far. Some of Trump's own senior officials that have come under grand jury indictment have pleaded guilty and are now cooperating witnesses. Now his own attorney, who is paid to defend him, doesn't want to defend him anymore. And it, obviously, based on what's come out about his advice, his own attorney was afraid of what Donald Trump would get caught with if he had to answer questions under oath. This is bad for Donald Trump, and clearly the investigation is closing in, and he must be really worried right now. We should expect to see him lashing out on Twitter in the next 24 hours.
David?
Donald Trump has contended from day one that there was no collusion going on between him and Russia, which is what this investigation started out as. To date, there is no evidence that is still the case. If John Dowd doesn't think the strategy he has presented to the president is the path the president wants to go, he owes it to the president to step down and for the president to have a legal team around him who can go present the evidence that, in fact, there wasn't collusion, which, again, it cannot be said enough. To date, there is no evidence that says that President Trump colluded with the Russians to cost Hillary Clinton the election, which, thank goodness we got to talk about this, because I had a wager that today Isaac couldn't get through this segment without saying Russia at least 3 times.
I mean, that is the point.
Let's correct David
really
for just
Isaac,
a second
that's
on collusion.
The whole point.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I mean, first, I just got to step in. That is a bit unfair because the whole point of this whole segment, first of all, is that his lawyer is leaving because he doesn't want the president to go down, sit down with Robert Mueller and express his, what he calls honesty and openness. He wants to essentially say there was no collusion. He's not afraid to sit down with Robert Mueller. If he did have anything to hide, one could argue perhaps he wouldn't want to sit down with special counsel. But his own legal team, it's not just Dowd. I mean, he had a legal team inside and outside of the White House who is on President Trump's side. It seems that Dowd was among the only ones that disagreed with the idea of sitting down. The president has actually recently hired Joe DiGenova and is expected to make more additions outside his legal team. But I mean, Isaac, this is a very critical phase in the Mueller investigation. And whether or not the president sits down with the special counsel, he needs to have a legal team that's behind him.
Yeah, and attorneys don't want to represent him. It's obviously that there are problems here that are likely that he's going to turn out to be guilty of something. It's a question of what. We know that there was collusion, despite what David said about rolling the sanctions back with the Kremlin that were illegal, that Michael Flynn then lied to the FBI about, and that's what he had to plead guilty about and is now a cooperating witness. So we know there was at least that much collusion because that's already been reported. He's pled guilty for lying about it, and that's how he wound up a cooperating witness. That's why attorneys don't want to represent the president right now, because look at what he's doing with McCabe. I mean, he is literally trying to force witness intimidation against the same people who could corroborate Comey on a case for obstruction of justice. There were 3 different people at the FBI who could have corroborated that. They were either reassigned or fired.
For those who actually believe that McCabe's firing was politically motivated, here we have someone who lied and leaked information to the press, and he got fired over it. I mean, how is that politically motivated, David?
Julie, we can't let Isaac's comments go unanswered there. This investigation started about, did the Trump campaign collude with the Russians to cost Hillary Clinton the election? And there's not a single answer that Isaac or a Democrat that gets on television that has anything connected to that. Not one these days. Not one about this investigation. As far as
That's
this
why
firing,
there's an investigation,
the firing
David.
of McCabe, gosh, we now have an FBI director who's actually focused on law enforcement and not using the Justice Department or any other government job to use as a political weapon. And McCabe finally got to happen to him what should have happened to Lois Lerner, Valerie Jarrett, Eric Holder, Susan Rice, James Clapper, every one of those Obama stooges that use their government job as a political weapon.
Look, David is faking this anger to try to distract from the facts that are obvious, right? There are 3 people at the FBI who could corroborate Comey on the fact that there was a case for obstruction of justice from the president. Thanks to under Wray, those people have either been reassigned or fired in every instance. The president openly said on Twitter, no, David, I didn't interrupt you. David, I didn't interrupt you when you were lying, so you can let me tell the truth uninterrupted. When the president said months ago on Twitter that his goal was to get McCabe out over the issue.
Hold on a second. We're talking collusion and obstruction of justice. 2 completely different things. Collusion being legal, obstruction of justice not. If there was collusion, but it was not an obstruction of justice, meaning that the president did not try to take that information and somehow hold somebody accountable or somehow put pressure on someone to stop an investigation, that would be obstruction of justice. The president says there was no collusion with the Russians. Let him talk to Robert Mueller. Why not, David?
He should be able to talk to Robert Mueller. He has always contended he did nothing wrong. But let's keep in mind here, and Isaac brought up Comey and McCabe, even they don't agree on the facts of what has happened and how this all came about and whether Comey's investigation was ever done fairly. There is plenty of evidence that the Justice Department was used as a political weapon. And again, the new FBI director is trying to clear it out. And after 8 years of having an Obama administration that used the government as a political weapon, it is refreshing to see folks getting in and trying to actually have the government focus on the task it's assigned to do.
David,
maybe there's one thing David and I can agree on, which is Trump should have to answer questions under oath.
If he wants to talk to the special counsel, that does say a lot. He is not going to be going in there and lying, so you have to give him that. That's all the time we have. Isaac Wright, David Avella, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So what does this resignation of John Dowd, the president's lead outside counsel, mean for the administration moving forward? We'll have much more on this breaking and developing story coming up after this.
Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Bona makes it easy to care for your hardwood floors, so you can take care of more important things. Introducing the next generation Bona Spray Mop for hardwood floors, featuring a refillable cartridge that clicks into place.
25-minute confession video that he apparently did on his cell phone just a short time before they found him.
It's obvious this young man wanted to leave some sort of message. The bombs itself were messages for him to send to the community or whoever he was targeting, but he wanted to have more to say. I wish he had said more specifically what his reasoning for it was. Hopefully that will come.
Michael McCall, when he was on last hour, talked to us also about the technology that was used in this case. Fascinating stuff. Listen to this.
We were also able to use technology to find a digital footprint of where his cell phone had been, so that the key evidence was getting his cell phone number, so that when he did turn his cell phone on, immediately the SWAT teams descended upon him.
He couldn't get into a whole lot of further detail on that technology, but thank God for that. And really, it was getting that cell phone number that was the game changer.
It certainly was. A lot of this was old-fashioned law enforcement work, getting out to the stores, looking where these materials were sold, trying to find somebody out of character buying things unusual. But the cell phone technology is what made the difference in identifying the subject.
And those bomb-making materials that were found in his home, do you believe, based on what they have found and what they've disclosed that they found, John, that there should have been some sort of red flag or warning signal earlier on about those purchases?
You know, the problem is the devices he made, he was using very, very common items that you can buy in any hardware store in America. So there's nothing particularly unusual. However, the batteries were a key, and that helped investigators. Very unusual in his choice of what the batteries were.
John, can the residents of that city rest easy tonight? Is this over?
I think this particular incident is over. The police have fairly well assured the community that there are no more packages out there. I think they've accounted for all the materials purchased. Of course, the issue is we know we'll be talking about something like this in the future with the next one.
Wow. John Iannarelli, thank you for joining us and lending your expertise to a situation we continue to learn more about and get more details on. Thank you.
Thank you.
About 8 past the hour now. We may get more information. We expect it on the Russia matter today. The House Intel Committee about to release some unclassified information from its report. Catherine Herridge live from D.C. on that. Catherine, are they meeting today on this?
Well, they are, Bill, and good morning. We are expecting the House Intelligence Committee to vote later today on the final Russia report. We expect that vote along party
team. That leaves diGenova, who again is the latest addition to the legal team, as well as Jay Sekulow, who's familiar with many people here who watch Fox News. He used to appear on Fox News a lot as the president of the American Center for Law and Justice. And I'm told that they are planning on adding even more folks to the president's outside legal team as the Mueller investigation reaches what they believe is a critical juncture here that now appears more likely may include an interview of the president by Robert Mueller. But again, Rick, with the parameters of what Mueller can talk about with the president very narrowly defined. One of the things that John Dowd has been doing over the last couple of months is building a legal case to say to Mueller and his investigators, look, if you want to interview the president, you've really got to have a very strong case here that only the president can give you information that you can't get from anywhere else. And it was Dowd who compiled the list of documents that the White House and the transition have produced to the Mueller investigation. It was Dowd who was cooperating fully with the Mueller investigation, but also suggesting that if you want to interview the president, you've received all these tens upon tens of thousands of documents. You have to demonstrate that there's something that's not in those documents that you can only get from the president. Now, I don't know if they're still going to pursue that particular avenue in terms of negotiations with the Office of the Special Counsel for an interview with the president, or if they will relax that somewhat. But as Judge Napolitano has said time and time again, you don't want to sit down for an interview with a guy who owns a grand jury, and in this case, Robert Mueller owns two. And so whatever it is that diGenova and Sekulow and Ty Cobb, who is the president's attorney here inside the White House, decide to do, they need, according to legal officials, to proceed very cautiously here about putting the president in front of Mueller.
So just to be clear, based on your reporting, you believe this was a difference of opinion between Dowd and the president?
I think it was something. I don't know that it was a difference of opinion between Dowd and the president. I think it was a difference of opinion between Dowd and some of the other members
and the rest of the
legal team.
Yeah.
And the president was sort of leaning toward the idea of doing an interview. He said that he would be happy to do one last year. Again, reaffirmed that, though, in a question that I asked him. He said, I don't know why there would need to be an interview because there was no collusion. But I think it was friction within the legal team. Dowd perhaps thinking that the president wasn't really listening to his advice, was listening to the advice of others. I mean, you know, Dowd has been involved in this thing since June of 2016 when he took over from Mark Kasowitz, who was the president's longtime personal attorney. And I think it's been a long and wearying process. And I think he probably kind of felt that he had enough.
All right. John Roberts at the White House. John will be following this very closely. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
So as the Mueller investigation reaches an extremely critical stage, which could in fact turn down and turn into an interview with the president, his lead attorney has resigned, John Dowd. So what happens next with the investigation? We'll have much more after the break.
The best part about being a bath fitter installer is the reveal. Homeowners greet us in the morning and love that we're going to install a beautiful new tub right over their old one without tearing the bathroom apart. But they're never quite prepared for what they get come the end of the day. We call it the wow moment. When they see their new bathtub that's high quality and more beautiful than they could have imagined, I can't help but smile. Since it's Bath Fitter, it's built to last a lifetime. We guarantee it.
You too can have a bathroom you'll love. Call now or visit bathfitter.com.
I wanted to get new blinds. I was talking with my mom about what kind I should get, and she mentioned I should visit Blinds.com.
Great quality for an incredible price. That's where I got my blinds.
With Blinds.com, you get a free online design consultation, free samples, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
I give the customer confidence by being there every step of the way.
We make it really easy. That's what I love to hear.
Go to Blinds.com/TV right now, and when you buy one blind, get the second 50% off.
Duncan just protected his family with a $500,000 life insurance policy. How much do you think it cost him? $100 a month? $75? $50? Actually, Duncan got his $500,000 for under $28 a month, less than $1 a day. His secret? SelectQuote. In just minutes, a SelectQuote agent will comparison shop nearly a dozen highly rated life insurance companies and give you a choice of your 5 best rates. Duncan's wife, Cassie, got a $750,000 policy for under $22 a month. Give your family the security it needs at a price you can afford. Since 1985, SelectQuote has saved over 1 million families millions of dollars on life insurance. Call now, 800-304-5039, or visit SelectQuote.com. Discover what over 1 million families know now. We shop, you save.
You have a vision. It's behind everything you do. Even when you least expect it, it comes through. You know what you want, and we can help make it real. You need choices? We've got all kinds, including special finishes and papers. And they're all absolutely guaranteed because you have a vision and we have your card. 500 start at just $9.99 when you enter BC500 at Vistaprint.com.
Hi, I'm Joan London. Today's senior living communities have never been better, with amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And there's never been an easier way to get great advice. A Place for Mom is a free service that pairs you with a local advisor to help you sort through your options and find the perfect place. A Place for Mom. You know your family, we know senior living. Together we'll make the right choice.
A Fox News alert: John Dowd, the president's lead lawyer in the special counsel inquiry, has resigned. That news coming down just today. Fox News politics editor Chris Starwalt joins us now. This is big news for the president's legal team, but not much of a surprise considering the two had been sort of at odds over whether or not the president should sit down with Robert Mueller. What's your reaction?
Man, y'all are pretty jaded up in New York. I was surprised.
Yeah. I mean, it's a surprise, but it's not. We're talking about
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, the Trump administration here.
I know just what you mean, my friend. But in this case, I would say it was pretty preposterous that Dowd or anyone would argue that the president of the United States, the chief magistrate of this federal government, was not going to sit down and talk to the special counsel in order to bring the matter to a close. And, you know, I think Dowd in this case is guilty of something that many of the president's supporters are, which is acting like he's guilty. They have to take the president at his word. He says that he is immaculately innocent and unflecked, untrammeled by even one footprint of any scandal on this. So let the man talk.
I mean, that's what one would think, right? I mean, if you go and hire and you lawyer up and you've been accused of something and you don't want to take the stand, let's say, in your own trial, then clearly you're wondering maybe they do have something to hide. Here, the president wants to come forward and sit down with Robert Mueller. And this president is unlike others. He doesn't need people to speak for him. And I believe he wants a legal team that will essentially follow his orders and not the other way around. What does his legal team do now, considering this is such a critical phase in the special counsel investigation?
Well, you know what Abe Lincoln said, which was that a man who represents himself in court has a fool for a counsel. So there's a fine line. If you're not listening to your lawyer, what are you going to this lawyer for? Why did you hire this person? And at a certain point, that's when you have a case like this where you just part company. There is a fundamental recommendation made by Dowd, who is trying to protect the president and wants his client safe. And you have a president who says, I'm the president. I can't back down from this. I can't hide from this. I'm going to have to talk to him. And of course, the president is very confident, of course, as always, ever, or expresses a lot of confidence in his ability to make mincemeat of Mueller. And Trump doesn't want to be seen as backing down from that challenge.
Yeah. What do you think about Joe diGenova? He's expected to make more additions to the president's legal team.
You know, it's interesting. The Donald Trump that we saw in 2017 was talked differently than a traditional Republican president, but governed substantially like, and his cabinet and administration came to reflect it. In 2018, we are getting original Trump, and Joe diGenova and guys like that are a big part of that.
All right, Chris Stirewalt, never a dull moment, but I love when you get to come on and talk about it. You got plenty of opportunities. Chris Stirewalt.
You bet.
Great to see you, buddy. We'll be right back. Stay there.
I think it's time to retire my dad's suit.
Not to worry, our expert stylist will bring you up to date. There he is.
Here I am.
Now at Men's Warehouse, take 60% off select suits, plus all wrinkle-free dress shirts are $3 for $99. You're gonna like the way you look in a great fitting suit.
In life, you have to adapt to your environment. That's why Jaguar has developed a unique, instinctive all-wheel drive system. It constantly monitors the road surface and driver inputs hundreds of times every second. Perfect dynamics, outstanding performance all year round. Jaguar all-wheel drive.
Guys, ask yourself this. What if you could go harder, take charge, and feel more alive again? The power to having a more youthful, stronger, and active body could already be inside you. It's called HGH, a powerful youth hormone that your body naturally produces. But after the age of 25, your natural HGH production slows dramatically. But now you can rev up your natural HGH production with Growth Factor 9. The first and only non-prescription, non-injection dietary supplement, clinically shown to naturally increase your own HGH levels up to 682%. HGH has been associated with increasing lean muscle mass, strengthening bones and joints, reducing body fat, recovering quicker, sleeping better, and improving your energy, mood, and performance. Growth Factor 9 has been featured in top fitness publications and is getting 5-star reviews by men everywhere. It's already changing thousands of lives, and it can change yours. And today, you can try Growth Factor 9 risk-free for 30 days. We'll even include free shipping. Plus, be one of the first 300 to order, and we'll send you Testrovax, our #1 testosterone-boosting compound that naturally helps increase your testosterone levels up to 42% in just 12 days. Sold in retail for over $60, it's your free gift when you order today. So don't run with the pack. Break away from it. Get focused. Take action. Feel alive with Growth Factor 9. So call or go online now to get your ultimate super stack. A 30-day risk-free trial of Growth Factor 9. Our powerful Testrovax, valued at over $60, is your free gift, plus free shipping. We can't possibly make this any easier for you to get started right now. Call 1-800-308-8475 or go to trygf9.com now.
We are here to dispense justice.
This led me to declare eternal war with slavery.
Remember what you're fighting for!
Been a
what
pleasure.
A big day.
Yeah, busy.
I mean, John Dowd, he's out.
Yeah.
Legal team is going to be hunkering down.
We're going to hear more about that.
Thanks for joining us.
Coming up.
We're going to grab the breaking news now and give you more. Fox News alert. Breaking news less than an hour ago. The president's personal attorney, lead lawyer John Dowd, has resigned. He was the president's guy in charge prepping the president and Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts joins us live with new information now in just the last few minutes. John?
Harris, good afternoon to you. Of course, John Dowd was the lead attorney for the president's outside legal team. He's also got an attorney inside the White House that's dealing with the Mueller investigation in terms of document production. But it looks like after the president added Joe diGenova to the outside legal team, the writing was kind of on the wall that it was going to be difficult for John Dowd to maintain the same sort of relationship that he's had with the president for the last 9 or 10 months now. And so Dowd decided that it was time for him to resign. It's also been quite a strain, as you can imagine, taking the role of the lead outside attorney. And I don't know how much that might have played into it, but Dowd has decided that he is not going to be with the president's legal team anymore, which now leaves him with two attorneys on the outside, Joe diGenova, who is the latest addition to the team, as well as Jay Sekulow, former head of the American Center for Law and Justice, who, of course, was a familiar face here on Fox News over the years. Those two are now taking the helm, the outside counsel for the president, and there is a plan, I'm told, to bring more attorneys on to bolster that team as well. As the Mueller investigation, Harris, now approaches a critical phase that may include an interview of the president by Robert Mueller. John Dowd was very much in opposition to that idea, didn't see a real reason for it, particularly with the tens upon tens of thousands of pages of documents and emails and other materials that he and Ty Cobb had been producing to the Mueller investigation, whereas people like Ty Cobb and Sekulow were more along the lines of, well, maybe the president should be sitting down with the special counsel, as long as there are very narrow parameters of what the special counsel can ask the president about in order to try to bring this investigation to a quick close. Dowd had been putting together a legal argument that would sort of put Mueller in a little bit of a box in terms of what he could ask. The argument that Dowd was making was saying that you can only interview the president if you can prove that he has information that you can't get elsewhere. And we have produced so many documents, the White House, in the transition to the Mueller investigation, that would really narrow the parameters of what you could ask the president. John Dowd, by the way, for people who don't know him, an old hand here in Washington. He was an attorney at the Department of Justice. He was a member of the Judge Advocate General's office in the Marine Corps. He defended John McCain during the Keating 5 scandal. And while he was the attorney for Major League Baseball, produced the lengthy report that led to the banning of Pete Rose. So an old hand here in Washington, been around for a long, long time, but now no longer with the president's outside legal team. Harris?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. We're all picking up notes and going back through some things today, trying to make sense of it all. But when you have reports that the president wasn't necessarily taking John Dowd's information or suggestions, as there have been those reports, the president increasingly ignoring that advice, some sources are telling reporters, you start to kind of get a more complete picture. It's hard to have somebody on your team if they want to legal brief the other members of the team on what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, I think probably what really led to his resignation was, you know, tensions within the legal team itself. Again, Dowd being on the side of, you know, if you're going to have the president sit down with Mueller, there has to be a really good reason for it. He didn't think it was a particularly good idea. And other people, including Judge Napolitano, have spoken up many times to say you don't want to sit your client down for an interview with a person who owns a grand jury, and Robert Mueller owns 2 grand juries. And then you had on the other side, you had Sekulow and you had Ty Cobb saying, well, look, we think that the president should sit down for an interview because that could bring this investigation to a speedy close. So I think there was a lot of internal friction there, and Dowd just, again, looked at the writing on the wall with the president hiring Joe diGenova and said, it's time for me to step aside.
Yeah. The president doing what he said he would do about a week ago. He's going to get the cabinet he wants. And I guess you would put this under the category of, John, other things. Remember, he said that. John Roberts, thank you very much for bringing us the news off the top here. Now, let's analyze. From the Fox Business Network, Dagan McDowell, co-anchor of After the Bell on Fox Business, Melissa Francis, Republican strategist and Fox News contributor, Lisa Booth, Fox News political analyst and co-host of The Five, Juan Williams. Great to have you all. Let's get to the meat of the point here. The president making changes just as he said he would.
Well, but I think that this is evidence of, we talked about chaos in terms of the White House and people coming and going at quite a clip. But now inside the legal team, which is so important to this president in terms of stabilizing his presidency and making it clear that he has a strategy to deal with Robert Mueller. Joe diGenova, who really is replacing John Dowd, is an even more experienced Washington hand, having been a prosecutor there and having the experience. But the difference is that while Dowd was competitive, I think that what you see with Joe diGenova is someone who believes, as he said, there was a conspiracy against this president in terms of the intelligence agencies. And that brings it to a whole nother level. I think in, you know, movie terms, Harris, I'd say we're going to DEFCON 3.
You know what, though? You can term it any way you want, but you know where we are definitely going? We're going to a place where the president has been shouting from the forest for quite some time that he sees it this way.
Absolutely, Harris, but you do need to be concerned if you were a member of the president's legal team with him sitting down with Robert Mueller and doing what he did maybe on the call with Vladimir Putin and saying whatever is on his mind, because again, you can easily get somebody on obstruction of justice. 4 out of the 5 guilty pleas have been lying to the FBI or lying to investigators from Robert Mueller. We can get Martha Stewart on the horn and find out about going to prison for that very thing. You don't ultimately know what Robert Mueller has, and if you tell one fib, and I point outside of the special counsel, how the Democrats are lining up to push Robert Mueller to file obstruction of justice charges. Eric Holder, the former Attorney General, I mentioned it on this couch some weeks ago, went on Bill Maher's show and said, I think obstruction of justice charges will be filed. I've known Robert Mueller for 20 to 30 years. You got Andrew McCabe in his statement last weekend alluded to that. They're trying to put pressure on the special counsel to cook up these obstruction charges, and how you do that is if the president tells one fib to Bob Mueller.
So, Melissa, you've got one lead attorney, John Dowd, outside lead, who was putting together a legal brief, if you will, an argument for the president to sit down with Mueller's team and enumerating all of the boundaries and parameters, and now he's out.
I agree with everything that you both just said, and I would say that this is a president who loves to fire people. And, you know, I mean, that was a
Dowd quit, but there's always that healthy skepticism that you say, well, were you close to the door when you quit?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and if you believe that, I've got a bridge that I want to sell you. I agree with what these guys both said, and I think that the president's personal style is very aggressive. It's very out front. It didn't match that of his first counsel. And now, much like with the Secretary of State, he has decided that he wants people around him who exude his persona and are an extension of how he's thinking and feeling. And that's what this represents as well. Whether or not it's dangerous to go this way, probably. And like you said, I do agree. I think this is ratcheting it up a whole nother level. But this matches his style of how he wants to approach this.
Well, and how he approaches a lot of things. Look at that tweet to Kim Jong-un. I'll go hard in either direction.
Yeah.
Well, and we know that President Trump also has no problem sort of making things uncomfortable and forcing people out. And as John Roberts pointed out, there is a point of contention of bringing Joe diGenova into the legal team. So perhaps that's also part of the reason behind John Dowd's exit. But I'm glad that Juan is at least conceding the fact that Joe diGenova has a long history in the term of being a former U.S. prosecutor, a criminal attorney, because often if you look at the headlines with most of the press, they really try to demean him and act like he doesn't have the history that he has or the level of experience that he does. So I appreciate the fact Juan is at least giving him that credit. Now, I do think this sort of signals a shift in perhaps how his legal team are going to be handling things, considering the fact. Well, Joe, try to say that name 5 times fast.
diGenova.
Joe diGenova, thank you, Harris, has had a different approach in terms of viewing this entire investigation as sort of a witch hunt, which is the same concept, the same outlook that President Trump has had as well. And so perhaps the way that the legal team interacts with Robert Mueller changes, perhaps the information and statements coming out of the legal team change as a result of this leadership, or as a result of the changed leadership team as well.
A good point, Lisa, and that is, are we looking at a situation, Juan, where this legal team now is taking shape to better position the president against Robert Mueller or something else? I mean, we have no way to read the tea leaves, but the way you described diGenova and the way that we know Jay Sekulow has been a very strong voice for the president. These are men that are now listening to the president.
Right, and I think that's the key point, Harris. I mean, if we boil all this down, let me just say, I think we now have the president of the United States saying, I'm speaking out, I'm taking charge of this. Remember, John Dowd had been telling the president, Mr. President, this is going to be over by Thanksgiving. Mr. President, just give us time. Give it some time.
He told him that. He was wrong.
But remember, he was, I think, so I'm double thinking here, that he was pleasing his client, that the client wanted to know that this was coming to an end and that everything was going to be okay, and Dowd was trying to reassure him so that he wouldn't get panicky. Apparently, the president now emotionally is at a point where he feels, you know what, I'm sick of this. It's not ending, and I want to speak out because I feel that I'm being unfairly targeted.
You can hear the president, what am I paying you for?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you're paying this new legal team for their advice. And the point I was trying to make in terms of obstruction of justice charges and lying to investigators, I should make clear those would be two separate things, or lying under oath, perjury charges. That the set out of this special counsel investigation was Russia collusion to look into the Trump campaign. But at the end of the day, they will try and nail you on anything. And there's a lot of pressure from hardcore Democrats from the outside to come up with something on the president. And you don't want to hand that to them by sitting down with Mueller and saying something even that you might not know they have evidence on the other side. But avoid that. Avoid that charge.
But perhaps President Trump feels, because as you mentioned, there has been this coordinated effort to draw up the obstruction of justice. We saw that after the firing of Comey, the left and many in the media sort of changed their tune from this Russia collusion to obstruction of justice. So perhaps President Trump feels that publicly and from his legal team, they need to be stronger in pushing back on that, being more aggressive with Mueller and sort of playing the same game the left and many of the media have been playing.
Real quick, on that note, I brought this up. There was that New York Times story about President Trump's conversations with Reince Priebus and McGahn, the White House counsel, about what he said or what he asked them about, or what he asked Reince Priebus about his interview with Bob Mueller. And again, it just smelled bad. It smelled like they were trying to cook up something that the president did wrong, when there was no coercion there in the way those stories were told, but it looked bad in terms of the leaks.
Well, don't forget the public relations part of this too.
That's what I was
Jay Sekulow and Joe diGenova, very effective on television. And they are the kinds of people, unlike John Dowd, who will make the case for the president in the court of public opinion. And I think
that's
the
a
president
great point.
wants somebody who's a little bit more go get him, take it to Mueller.
That's the point I was making in saying that President Trump perhaps feels like there needs to be a more public pushback to this narrative that's been driven by the left and many of the media that basically take the talking points from the left about obstruction of justice and some of these other things.
Well, and it's not always him on the line. I mean, at the beginning of the year, he told us what he wanted to be talking about, right? And we know when he goes to campaign rallies or what feels like them, he wants to talk about tax cuts. He wants to talk about military spending that is bumping up. He wants to talk about the accomplishments in his administration. And so he needs somebody else to talk about these other things. My point about PR is the president also, I'm sure, knows that the public would like to still see, when you look at some of that even most recent polling, him sit down with Robert Mueller, because it's the perception that once you do that, then you're close to the end. Maybe that ball has moved.
I think it's also as simple as being on the offense versus being on the defense, and that's his whole style. And he feels like his team has been on the defensive, and that's not what he wants. He wants to be out there swinging.
But if you misspeak in front of a crowd of fans, you know what? Nobody cares. But if you misspeak when you're giving testimony to Bob Mueller, it's potentially a felony.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
All right, we're going to move on. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg under fire after what critics are calling a weak response to a massive data breach. The CEO offering to testify on Capitol Hill, whether that could actually happen. Will that be enough? I have other questions.
Me
The writer
too.
didn't put in my questions.
Me too.
House Republicans from the Intelligence Committee are releasing some of their findings on the Russia meddling investigation. Democrats on the committee aren't too happy about it. The findings and the fallout next.
This program is brought to you by Outback Steakhouse, Aussie Rules.
1 part steak, 1 part ribs, 2 parts incredible. New steak and ribs at Outback, $15.99 for a limited time. Get a 6-ounce sirloin and make it your own with a choice of honey sriracha, barbecue or dry rub ribs. So hurry into Outback now.
Managing blood sugar is a series of smart choices. And when you replace one meal or snack a day with Glucerna, made with Carb Steady to help minimize blood sugar spikes, you can really feel it. Now with 30% less carbs and sugars. Glucerna.
Introducing Introducing the brand new South Beach Diet. I'm Jesse James Decker, and if y'all want to know how I stay in shape, I do it with the South Beach Diet.
Lose up to 9 pounds and 3 inches overall in your first 2 weeks. Order your 28-day plan today with fully prepared meals delivered to your door. Breakfast, lunches, dinners, even snacks.
I lost 38 pounds.
It's safe and healthy weight loss, easy to follow, and it works.
I lost 30 pounds on the South Beach Diet.
South Beach is a low-carb, low-sugar, high-protein program that burns fat and transforms your metabolism.
I lost 24 pounds.
Order your 28-day plan right now and receive a week of our all-new South Beach Complete Shakes free. They're packed with 20 grams of protein, no added sugar, a great source of probiotics, vitamins, and they taste great. Call or go online in the next 2 minutes and we'll even throw in free FedEx shipping. Lose up to 9 pounds and 3 inches overall in your first 2 weeks.
Trust me, the South Beach Diet works. Call or click right now.
Call 888-751-FIRM or go to southbeachdiet.com and get 1 week of shakes free.
Today, a focus on innovation in the Southern Tier is helping build the new New York, starting with advanced manufacturing that brings big ideas to life and cutting-edge transportation development to connect those ideas to the world, along with urban redevelopment projects worthy of the world's top talent. All across New York State, we're building the new New York. To grow your business with us in New York State, visit esd.ny.gov.
Patrick woke up with back pain, but he has work to do, so he took a leave. If he'd taken Tylenol, he'd be stopping for more pills right now. Only Aleve has the strength to stop tough pain for up to 12 hours with just 1 pill. Aleve, all day strong.
It's okay that everybody ignores me when I drive. It's fine, because I get a safe driving bonus check every 6 months I'm accident-free. And I don't share it with Mom, right, Mom? Right.
Safe driving bonus checks only from Allstate. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Hi, I'm Joan London with A Place for Mom. Every day we hear from families who partnered with a senior living advisor from A Place for Mom to help find the perfect place for their mom or dad.
Thank you so much for your assistance in helping us find a place. Mom feels safe and comfortable and has met many wonderful residents and staffers.
Thank you for helping our family find our father a new home. We especially appreciate the information about the VA Aid and Attendance Program.
I feel I found the right place, a perfect fit. You were my angel and helped guide me every step of the way. Thank you.
The senior living advisors at A Place for Mom partner with thousands of families every month, listening and offering local knowledge and advice to help find the best senior living communities across the country. And it won't cost you a cent. This is a free service. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family. We know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Breaking news on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers are scrambling to pass their $1.3 trillion omnibus spending package by tomorrow's midnight deadline. House lawmakers received the contents of that massive bill just last night, and we're told now they're getting ready to vote on this legislation. If the bill passes the House, then the Senate would get a chance to vote as well. We're told the White House House Budget Director Mick Mulvaney could give an update on the bill at any moment now. If that happens with Mulvaney, we'll bring it to you live. Stay close.
A Fox News alert. Republicans on the House Intel Committee voting today to release their version of the report on the findings of the committee's investigation into Russian election meddling, which included looking into whether there was collusion between the Trump team and Russia. They are now waiting for the intelligence community to go over their report and redact any classified info before it is released to the public. In the meantime, GOP members releasing some bullet points on their findings in the politically fraught investigation. Some of the major points, among many, when asked directly, none of the witnesses provided evidence of collusion, coordination, or conspiracy between Trump campaign officials and the Russian government. There was no evidence Trump associates were involved in the theft or release of Democratic emails, but the Trump team did have ill-advised contacts with WikiLeaks. The executive branches, meaning the Obama White House, post-election response was inadequate, and the Steele dossier was a big part of obtaining FISA warrants for Carter Page. The ranking Democrat on the committee says the minority was shut out and the investigation was far from thorough.
A rather sad chapter in our committee's long history. It was clear that their report was going to be completely political from beginning to end.
Anything new in that, Juan Williams?
No, this is a partisan exercise, and we know the committee had shut down basically the investigation. The difficulty here is Devin Nunes, who is the chairman of the committee, at one point recused himself, was seen as getting too close in terms of orders from the White House or coordinating with the White House. And then that persisted even later. But then you have Adam Schiff come out, and he's become more of the combative counterpoint to Devin Nunes. And I think as a result, it looks like broken government rather than a real investigation.
I totally agree. It's dizzying, all these different reports, and everybody's out and they're saying whatever, and it just, the noise kind of drowns out anything that might be real in there.
Well, and I wonder to Juan, in saying, you know, putting the blame on Devin Nunes as being a partisan, do you have concerns then with allegations of Adam Schiff leaking or
anybody
or information coming from these closed-door meetings that is supposed to be classified and not get out?
You got it. I just, as I said, I think it's a partisan exercise, Lisa. But remember, I mean, to me, one of the most incredible leaks recently was Devin Nunes on Mark Warner, who was trying to get in touch and had very publicly made this outreach to a Russian. And then Nunes leaks this, and I thought, what is going on? But the point that I would take away from today and the closing is that the Republicans on the committee last week were saying, oh, Russia didn't try to favor President Trump. The intelligence community is wrong. And at that point, you just want to say, I don't think you guys are serious. I mean, come on.
Well, there's also been somehow that some of these social media advertising somehow swayed an election. I mean, that's sort of been the concept being driven by the left. But anyone who's worked in politics, you look at $2,000 spent in the state of Wisconsin. Jeb Bush in the Republican primary spent $2,800 per vote. So I think there's been a lot of dishonesty from Democrats.
All right, I got to step in because we've got some breaking news. We knew that this would be happening at the White House, and so now what we know is that inside the press briefing room is Press Secretary Sarah Sanders just introducing the Office of Management and Budget Director Mick Mulvaney on the spending bill. Let's watch.
For the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months about trying to get the president's priorities funded, and this omnibus bill does that. It funds national defense. As you heard Sarah mention, it gives the troops the increase that we were trying to get them in their compensation. It funds opioids. It funds school safety. It's a tremendous increase in workforce development, something that doesn't get a lot of attention, but this administration has been pushing since we got here. It actually starts taking a look at funding infrastructure, and it also does a lot of what we wanted, not everything we wanted, but a lot of what we wanted on immigration. So all things considered, when we look at the bill, we have to weigh what we asked for and what we had to give away to give it. Is it perfect? No. Is it exactly what we asked for in the budget? No. Were we ever going to get that? No. That's not how the process works. When appropriation bills have to have 60 votes in the Senate, which they do, you're going to always have to rely on Democrat votes in a Republican majority like we have. We need 9 Democrats to support this bill, so there was no chance of everything that we wanted passing. This is probably a good opportunity to bring up the idea of a line item veto. If the president had that, this bill would look a lot different by the time it became law. But we do not have that opportunity. It'd be a good time to look at the rules in the Senate that drive us to these types of end results. But all things considered, in the balance, the president supports the bill, looks forward to signing it before the funding, the lapse in appropriations by midnight tomorrow night. You want to say anything? Or you want to?
No. Yes. Thanks, Mick. Director Mulvaney can certainly give you guys more detail. His team puts together a budget that submits to Congress in February. Congress is supposed to complete an appropriations process by September 30th at the end of the fiscal year. What we've endured since then is 6 continuing resolutions that Secretary Mattis has continued to tell us is debilitated in many cases what he needs to do. We have equipment that he is needing to repair, that he would rather purchase new equipment. We have one of the greatest priorities here was to rebuild the military, and this bill will provide the largest year-over-year increase in defense spending since World War II. It'll be the largest increase for our men and women in uniform in salary in the last 10 years. Additionally, it provides, as we've talked about, one of our signature priorities regarding $1.6 billion for the wall. It also provides a 10% increase for ICE's budget, as well as a 12% increase for DHS overall. A couple additional things that we were pleased this bill, as you know, after the tragic school shootings, there are a couple of legislative matters that we'd asked the Congress to adopt. One was the Cornyn-Murphy bill, better known as Fix NICS, as well as the Stop School Violence Act, providing an additional $2 billion for school safety, focused on purchasing equipment and personnel. Both of those bills are included in the omnibus, which we're very pleased about. So as Mick outlined from the start, this process is one that certainly leaves a lot to be desired, and it's one in which the appropriations process in Congress has been broken now for 22 years.
All right, so you have members of the White House leadership stepping up before what we anticipate will be a vote on a very large spending bill to avoid yet a third government shutdown for this year already. And so you saw there from the Office of Management and Budget, Mick Mulvaney, starting with his comments, and lastly, Mark Short, the White House Director for Legislative Affairs. And just talking, and we saw Mitch McConnell, Senator Mitch McConnell, do this earlier this morning. He put out his bullet points. The government funding bill contains significant victories for the nation, and they were kind of hitting some of those points. Why the hard sell, Melissa?
I think because there's so much spending in there. And if you look at
$1.3 trillion.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at how the market is reacting today to all the stories that are out there.
How is it reacting?
I mean, it's down.
Can we pop it up?
It's
in the tank.
Yeah.
Can we see it?
I mean, this is a reaction not only to, what's going on with the President's Council, but also to this huge bill that is just massive amounts of spending. And, the President got his spending by virtue of giving away a bunch of other spending. The market doesn't love that.
Yeah. Because there are no fiscal conservatives left, or very few, that, again, they think that money grows on trees. Yeah. And by the way, and this dovetails with something that's going on also today, we're going to slap tariffs on tens of billions of dollars in imports from China. Why does this matter? Because China is the largest owner of U.S. debt. So we are indebted to China. So if you really, a trade deficit is not a debt owed somebody, but this is. We have a $21 trillion debt in this country, and there is no whiff of fiscal responsibility coming out of Washington. And as interest rates go up, just the interest on our existing debt will swamp everything. It'll swamp what we can pay for our military. So get ready to basically pay our military with Medicare checks. Two things can be true at the exact same time. That this bill has a whopping price tag. It doesn't fight for any of the priorities that Republicans have been promising.
There's the market right there, by the way.
Voters for years, which is absolutely
more
true.
Than that earlier.
But then another thing can be true as well, is that if you did include defunding Planned Parenthood, border security, all these things that Republicans have been promising voters, you don't get enough votes in the Senate to pass this thing. Republicans don't have a supermajority in the Senate. They have to pick up Democrat votes as well. So I think those two things are both true and can coexist at the same time.
But I got to tell you, the market is like the truth barometer on all of these different things. And you're right about the tariffs are very scary as they look like they're coming in. If they achieve the long-term goal, which is to stop the theft of intellectual property to China, that is something the market really cares about. But that's off in the distance. And in the short term, the tariff is a scary thing to look at on top of all of this spending that we're seeing.
I want to give like a really big but if I can, and I'll give it right back to you. So the president today, in the next little while, is expected to sign a presidential memorandum targeting China's economic aggression through these tariffs and other investment restrictions. That's exactly what we've been saying is necessary in order to deal with North Korea. So I'm confused a little bit by what you're saying.
No, that's all true, but it's short-term pain for long-term goals, and you hope the long-term goal is true. But as I talk to investors every day, and I know Dagan can say the same thing, they're scared that we end up with the higher cost and the tariff without the result that we're looking for.
If you don't, I promised that we'd get to one.
If you don't want to hand China more power and you want to take that power away from it, you don't run up our annual deficits. You don't run up our debt. We are running a $1 trillion annual deficit now because of this spending. We're handing power to China rather than taking away.
I think with Melissa...
So I'm going to do it to you again. Poor Juan Williams. He's not going to be happy with me. But that's the Speaker of the House on the left of your screen. That's Paul Ryan. And we've been talking about the spending bill, and our crew will let me know if we're going to listen in. But I at least want to acknowledge that our House Speaker now is up there after leadership from the White House. Juan, take it away.
Well, I was just going to say, sitting here with Dagan and Melissa, people who have great business knowledge, it's so interesting to hear their reaction, because my reaction is to the politics of this. And I think that's why Mark Short, the legislative director for the White House, was there, as well as Mick Mulvaney. And on the political side, you guys are right. I mean, the Republicans really had to make a trade-off with the Democrats in order to get the spending they wanted, but the trade-off has blown up the size of that budget. But the political side of it is about immigration, the wall. I don't know where it is, not there.
Where is immigration for the Democrats?
And the
DACA.
Democrats,
that was
no
on the
dreamers.
Still on Sunday.
That's what I'm saying. No dreamer deal. So I think the politics of this is very
Shut down
difficult.
Schumer. Where'd he go?
All right, we'll see. President Trump set to slap steep tariffs on China, why he's doing this, and what the blowback could be, plus a war of words between President Trump and Joe Biden after the former VP physically threatens the commander-in-chief for a second time. Whether this could be a preview of what we might see on the presidential campaign trail in 2020.
For over 200 years, the stock market has been going up and down like a roller coaster. And it seems like everybody's giving you advice on what you should do with your retirement money. But most people just want to earn a reasonable rate of return and keep it simple. Is that what you want? Get your investor's kit and learn how to never lose money when the market goes down and earn a reasonable rate of return. And on the DVD, I'll personally explain how it works. You decide if it's right for you.
Call 800-557-7379 or tyjyoung.net.
More and more people are finding themselves in a Chevrolet for the first time. Trying something new can be exciting, empowering, downright exhilarating. See for yourself why Chevrolet is the most awarded and fastest growing brand the last 4 years overall. Switch into a new Chevy now. Current qualified competitive owners and lessees can get this 2018 Chevy Equinox for around $199 a month. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Guys, is this you? Busting out of your pants, no energy or drive, and you need Nutrisystem for Men. New for 2018, our best program ever. Lose up to 18 pounds and 8 inches overall in your first month. Money back guarantee.
I'm Essex, and I lost 43 pounds on Nutrisystem.
I lost 120 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Put down the wings, pick up the phone, and get with the program today. Order your 28-day plan right now, and we'll rush you Nutrisystem for Men with specially designed meals. Plus, 1 week of all new NutriCur bars free. 1 week of all new NutriPro shakes packed with 20 grams of protein to help shrink your gut free. And 1 week of all new Turbo Boosters to rev your metabolism free.
The food was delicious.
Pasta, pizza.
If you're like me and you like to eat, this is what you get to do.
Call or go online in the next 2 minutes, and we'll even throw in FedEx shipping free.
It was perfect for guys like me who don't like to cook.
Lose up to 18 pounds and 8 inches overall in your first month.
It's simple. You eat the food, you lose the weight.
Go online or call 877-915-THIN and get Nutrisystem for Men with bars, NutriPro shakes, and Turbo Boosters free.
At Joseph A. Bank, save up to 60% off almost everything. All 1905 and executive sport coats, $149. All dress shirts, 2 for $89. Plus, get all traveler suits, $249. And find exactly what you're looking for. The up to 60% off sale, only at Joseph A. Bank.
There are plenty of good booking sites, but your ideal hotel may only be listed on one, or several, but for very different prices. You really want to check them all? Instead, use Trivago to compare these offers and find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clear skin is achievable after just 4 months, with reduced redness, thickness, and scaliness of plaques. And the Otezla prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Tell your doctor if these occur. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Other side effects include upper respiratory tract infection and headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
Great. Another dead end.
Sarge,
I just got a tip that'll crack this case wide open. Turns out the prince at the crime scene...
Did McGruffy Wuffy get a tippy-whippy?
I'm serious. We gotta move fast before...
Who's a good boy? Is him a good boy?
I'm just gonna go.
Oh, you wanna go outside? You gotta go tinky poo-poo.
I already went, okay? In the bathroom.
As long as people talk baby talk to dogs, you can count on Geico saving folks money. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The press always asks me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish.
The gloves are off between former Vice President Joe Biden and President Trump. Biden yet again raising the specter of physical violence against the commander-in-chief during an event at the University of Miami this week.
When a guy who ended up becoming our national leader said, I can grab a woman anywhere and she likes it, and then said, I didn't make a mistake, but they asked me, would I like to debate this gentleman? And I said, no. I said, if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. Well, I've been in a lot of locker rooms my whole life, a pretty damn good athlete. Any guy who talked that way was usually the fattest, ugliest SOB in the room.
President Trump firing back, of course, on Twitter, posting this, quote, crazy Joe Biden is trying to act like a tough guy. Actually, he is weak, both mentally and physically, and yet he threatens me for the second time with physical assault. He doesn't know me, but he would go down fast and hard, crying all the way. Don't threaten people, Joe. Juan, I kind of enjoy this. Who cares? Who cares if it's not presidential or vice presidential?
Oh, my gosh. So you get off on 270-plus guys threatening each other?
Here's my idea. Let Joe Biden run in 2020, and if he gets the nomination, we have an MMA match in the octagon, pay-per-view instead of one of the presidential debates, and all the money goes to cancer charities. There you go.
And 270-year-old guys shirtless. This is for you, Dagan. This is one and only for you.
Wants to see that.
No.
I don't think so, Dagan. But I must say, if you talk about celebrity politics to the point of absurdity, now if that's the case, MMA match, Dagan, my mind, it's blowing my mind.
But what happened on the Democratic side of the line of when they go low, we go high? What's Joe Biden's plan right now? What's his strategy?
I want to know why. I mean, he says it's usually the fattest, ugliest SOB. Like, I mean, either we're talking about people's looks or we're not talking about their looks. Like, it's just the hypocrisy of the whole thing. Like, one side is condemning for violence, and then the other side is like, you know, they're at the same time they're joining in the talk of violence. None of this is
But this is Joe Biden's personality. Let's be clear about that. If Joe had actually run against President Trump in 2016, which the Democrats, they had to have that lady in there running against, with the nomination, you would have had two tough-talking guys, Joe Biden from Scranton, Pennsylvania, in with the unions, strong on foreign policy. It would have been a more equal match, I think.
I think this kind of stuff is all stupid, to be honest. But if you have a problem with the president speaking this way, you should have a problem with the former vice president speaking this way. Also, I find it a little ironic that he was making these comments at an event about sexual assault and gender-based violence.
Did you see the looks on the women's faces behind him?
No, but they cheered.
Looked a bit stunned.
But a lot of them cheered, and these are the same women that wear pink hats out condemning this sort of rhetoric from the president, calling him a monster. So there is some selective outrage here. As I said yesterday, you could write a case study on selective outrage during the Trump era. But if you have a problem with one, you've got to have a problem with the other.
Wait a second. I really disagree on this one.
All right.
I think he said if we were in high school, the boys behind, and to me, if you're talking about politics of this day, I think he's trying to be, you know, common people, ordinary guy, ordinary Joe from Scranton.
I'd be violent, out of control?
No, he's not. He's saying he want to confront the man and fight him because he thinks, and this is my point, that he's being rude.
Exactly what he said. He said he's
being rude to women.
Juan, you're better than that, my friend. Come on.
What do you think?
No, Juan, come on. You're playing games here. The reality is, Vice President Biden and President Trump essentially said the same thing, and they're sort of threats to one another. If you don't like it, fine. That's completely fair. A lot of people don't. But if you support what Joe Biden said, then you have to support what President Trump said. They essentially said the same thing to another.
Wait, and you mean what Trump said about women?
No, the point,
that he would then be, the back and forth, that he would beat him up.
Joe Biden, President Trump, and this sort of schoolyard bully.
Yeah, this is all
Lisa, your point is well taken. If you're going to denounce or celebrate one or the other, then you have to denounce or celebrate both. Right. Is what you're saying. And, you know, what we're talking about is the fact that this is about women. This is about violence against women. And so rather than meet that head on at this group with all these women behind you, you're going to threaten to beat somebody up? It's just a question. Why? What kind of political strategy is that?
Well, show that he's a fighter. I think Democrats want somebody.
You don't think there's any other way to show that a man is a fighter than to actually put his fist in the air?
Not a fist. It's not actually. This is rhetoric. This is political rhetoric that I am willing to stand up to Donald Trump. And I think Donald Trump immediately said,
I'm willing to stoop to his level. Am I willing to stand up to him or stoop to his level?
You know what? This is a sign that Joe Biden's running. Too bad he has trouble raising money. Okay? So he's running in 2020. We kind of know that now.
She threw a punch and nobody got hit.
Right. By the way,
that's what I'm talking about.
I looked at these gentlemen's statistics. President Trump is 3 inches taller than Joe Biden and 4 years younger, so I think he could take him.
Oh, my gosh. You're into this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think he could take him.
Are we outnumbered for a commercial? Oh, my God. I'm just asking.
Anyway, speaking of President Trump at the White House, where he is expected to announce billions of dollars worth of tariffs and other measures against China. When that happens, we will take you there live.
My dad was a monster, and I saw God transform him. So I wrote this song for my dad.
I can only imagine. Rated PG. They say passion is contagious, and it's got a way of making moments memorable. Start tapping into your passion with the Honda Dream Garage. Tough, reliable, and trusted Honda power equipment is designed to take the work out of yard work and help you get the job done. So make your Honda Dream Garage a reality today. Just visit an authorized Honda Power Equipment dealer. Honda Power Equipment. Very smart.
It was getting to be a struggle to get in and out of the tub.
Yeah, we were really worried about falling.
And we needed a solution to stay safe in our own home.
So we got an American Standard walk-in bath.
American Standard is celebrating over 140 years in business with our best offer on our Liberation walk-in baths.
They have a lifetime warranty on the bath, the installation, including the labor. I've never heard of that before.
American Standard has the only walk-in bath with over 20 comfort and safety features, including an ultra-low entryway, 44 massaging jets to help relieve aches and pains, and our patented quick drain technology, which drains your bath in less than 2 minutes. Other brands can leave you sitting in the cold. So call now for your free information kit. For a limited time, get $1,500 in savings, including a free American Standard right height toilet.
Don't delay. Call 1-800-425-8414 for your free information kit and $1,500 in savings, including a free toilet. That's 1-800-425-8414.
There's an exotic place where you can swim in the sky, where you can expect the unexpected, where all the pleasures of a 5-star luxury vacation are all included. And dining is a global gourmet experience at 10 restaurants. Sandals Grenada. Experience the sandals of tomorrow. Today. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
When you look at the Mercedes-Benz GLC, with its high-tech cameras and radar, contemporary cockpit, 360-degree network of driver assist technologies, and sporty performance, what's most impressive about the GLC? All depends on your point of view. The 2018 GLC, starting at $40,050. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Are you a veteran and need money for your family? New Day USA can help. We earned a lot of VA benefits with our service, but the VA home loan benefit is a big one. If you want to use it to get cash, call New Day USA. VA loans are all they do. And don't let less than perfect credit hold you back. Even if you've been turned down for a VA loan by your bank, call New Day. They've been given automatic authority by the VA. They can often help veterans when other lenders won't. By refinancing up to 100% of your home's value, you could take out an average of $54,000 cash. You could use that money to pay credit card debt and other expenses, plan for retirement, and get back on your feet financially. Need money for your family? Call New Day USA and use the VA home loan benefit you've earned and deserve.
Call 1-844-383-1546.
Your brain changes as you get older, but Prevagen helps your brain with an ingredient.
Fox News alert: the president signing tariffs on China. Let's watch.
Factories in our country closed, shuttered, gone. 6 million jobs at least gone. And now they're starting to come back. You see what's happening with Chrysler, with Foxconn, with so many other companies wanting to come back into the United States. But we have one particular problem, and I view them as a friend. I have tremendous respect for President Xi. We have a great relationship. They're helping us a lot in North Korea, and that's China. But we have a trade deficit, depending on the way you calculate, of $504 billion. Now, some people would say it's really $375 billion. Many different ways of looking at it, but any way you look at it, it is the largest deficit of any country in the history of our world. It's out of control. We have a tremendous intellectual property theft situation going on, which likewise is hundreds of billions of dollars, and that's on a yearly basis. I've spoken to the president. I've spoken to representatives of China. We've been dealing with it very seriously. As you know, we're renegotiating NAFTA. We'll see how that turns out. Many countries are calling to negotiate better trade deals because they don't want to have to pay the steel and aluminum tariffs. So we are negotiating with various countries. Mr. Lighthizer, Mr. Ross, we are just starting a negotiation with the European Union because they've really shut out our country to a large extent. They have barriers that they can trade with us, but we can't trade with them. They're very strong barriers. They have very high tariffs. We don't. It's just not fair. NAFTA has been a very bad deal for the United States, but we'll make it better, or we'll have to do something else. The deal we have with South Korea is a very one-sided deal. It's a deal that has to be changed. So we have a lot of things happening, but in particular with China, we're going to be doing a Section 301 trade action. It could be about $60 billion, but that's really just a fraction of what we're talking about. I've been speaking with the highest Chinese representatives, including the president, and I've asked them to reduce the trade deficit immediately by $100 billion. It's a lot. So that would be anywhere from 25%, depending on the way you figure, to maybe something even more than that. But we have to do that. The word that I want to use is reciprocal. When they charge 25% for a car to go in, and we charge 2% for their car to come into the United States, that's not good. That's how China rebuilt itself. The tremendous money that we've paid since the founding of the World Trade Organization, which has actually been a disaster for us. It's been very unfair to us. The arbitrations are very unfair. The judging's been very unfair. And knowingly, we always have a minority, and it's not fair. So we're talking to World Trade, we're talking to NAFTA, we're talking to China, we're talking to European Union. And I will say every single one of them wants to negotiate. And I believe that in many cases, maybe all cases, we'll end up negotiating a deal. So we've spoken to China, and we're in the midst of a very large negotiation. We'll see where it takes us. But in the meantime, we're sending a Section 301 action. I'll be signing it right here, right now. I'd like to ask Bob Lighthizer to say a few words about the 301 and where we are in that negotiation. And we're doing things for this country that should have been done for many, many years. We've had this abuse by many other countries and groups of countries that were put together in order to take advantage of the United States, and we don't want that to happen. We're not going to let that happen. It's probably one of the reasons I was elected, maybe one of the main reasons, but we're not going to let that happen. We have right now an $800 billion trade deficit with the world. So think of that. So let's say we have 500 to 375, but let's say we have 500 with China, but we have 800 total with the world. That would mean that China is more than half. So we're going to get it taken care of. And frankly, it's going to make us a much stronger, much richer nation. The word is reciprocal. That's the word I want everyone to remember. We want reciprocal, mirror. Some people call it a mirror tariff or a mirror tax. Just use the word reciprocal. If they charge us, we charge them the same thing. That's the way it's got to be. That's not the way it is. For many, many years, for many decades, it has not been that way. And I will say the people we're negotiating with, smilingly, they really agree with us. I really believe they cannot believe they've gotten away with this for so long. I'll talk to Prime Minister Abe of Japan and others, great guy, friend of mine, and there'll be a little smile on their face. And the smile is, I can't believe we've been able to take advantage of the United States for so long. So those days are over. Ambassador Lighthizer, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. First of all, for those of you who don't know, Section 301 is a statute that gives substantial power, authority to the president to correct actions in certain circumstances where there's unfair acts, policies, or practices by our trading partners. In this case, the area is technology. Technology is probably the most important part of our economy. There's 44 million people who work in high technology areas. No country has as much technology-intensive industry as the United States, and technology is really the backbone of the future of the American economy. Given these problems, the President asked USTR to conduct a study. We conducted a thorough study. We had hearings. We reviewed tens of thousands of pages of documents. We talked to many, many business people. We had testimony, as I say, and we concluded that, in fact, China does have a policy of forced technology transfer, of requiring licensing at less than economic value, at state capitalism, wherein they go in and buy technology in the United States in non-economic ways, and then finally of cyber theft. The result of this has been that the President has analyzed it. We have a 200-page study which we'll put out, and he has concluded that we should put in place tariffs on appropriate products. We can explain later how we concluded what products they are, that we would put investment restrictions on China with respect to high technology, and that we'll file a WTO case because one of the actions here does involve a WTO violation. This is an extremely important action, very significant and very important for the future of the country, really across industries. And I would really like to thank you very much, Mr. President, for giving me the opportunity to work on it.
Thank you very much, Bob. Secretary Ross.
Intellectual property rights are our future, and it's no accident that in June of this year, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office will issue its 10 millionth patent. 10 million patents. There's no country in the history of the world that remotely approaches that. So the steel and aluminum actions we've taken deal more or less with the present. This action on intellectual property rights deals with the future. So we're trying to solve both today's problem and problems that otherwise will be forthcoming. That's why these actions are so important and so important in unison with each other. We will end up negotiating these things rather than fighting over them, in my view.
Mike Pence, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mr. President, and to all our honored guests. Today's action sends a clear message that this president and our entire administration are determined to put American jobs and American workers first. The action the president will take today under Section 301 also makes it clear that the era of economic surrender is over. The United States of America is taking targeted and focused action to protect not only American jobs, but America's technology, which will power and drive an innovation economy for decades to come. It is just one more step of a promise made and a promise kept by President Trump.
So we'll sign right now. I just want to let everybody know, just for a second time, that we are in the midst of very major and very positive negotiations. Positive for the United States, and actually very positive for other countries also. We have some of our great business leaders and leaders, period, right behind me. I may ask Marilyn Lockheed, the leading woman's business executive in this country, according to many. And we buy billions and billions of dollars worth of that beautiful F-35. It's stealth. You cannot see it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Better be correct, right?
Absolutely.
Marilyn, please say a few words.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I would just say that this is a very important moment for our country in that we are a dual property, as has been.
We are back here on the couch as well. And Dagan, I know you wanted to make a point about this. He said it was the first of many. This is a GAMP that is signed into action. We are back here
We're going to vote on it here in a few hours, and it's 2,200 pages.
The president has rejected that argument. White House aides say the president will sign this package into law, in part for what it does for the United States military, also because it provides $1.6 billion for his border wall. Once the gavel drops in the House, next stop, it goes over to the Senate, facing a Friday night deadline to pass it. Harris?
All right, Mike Emanuel, we are now just getting word that it has officially passed. So you were bringing us the latest on whether or not there were enough votes. It looked like yes, and now we can say definitively and officially the spending bill, the omnibus, has passed. Mike Emanuel, thank you very much. We have an opportunity now to talk with Pennsylvania Congressman Scott Perry, a Freedom Caucus member. And along with that title comes the expectation of smaller government and not a $1.3 trillion bill. Right. Talk to me.
Right. Well, that's exactly right. I don't think anybody, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, went home and campaigned saying they wanted to vote for the greatest spending, the largest spending increase in history, 13% above last year. And not only that, Harris, we got the bill 2,232 pages last night at 8:30. There was a night in there. You could have stayed. I was up past midnight in the Rules Committee with amendments, but you could have stayed up all night anyhow into right now and read the bill, and you still wouldn't be done. So, look, it's not good when the other side does it, and it's not good when this side does it. We want to know what we're voting on.
Yeah, I go back to Nancy Pelosi. We'll have to pass it to see what's in it.
Yeah, right.
This doesn't bode well.
Yeah, like I said, you can't be critical of that then and then come in here and say, well, we got a new president and this is our guys, so now it's okay. We want to fund our military. As a matter of fact, Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, and I walked up the rules a couple months ago with an amendment to fund the military at the highest level, but hold the line on the other spending, and it was rejected out of hand. I'm a person who served in uniform for over 30 years, so it's critically important. But I will tell you, military members don't want to bankrupt their country any more than anybody else does.
Yeah, I'm writing down a couple of notes as you're speaking, Congressman Perry, because I'm wondering, where are the conservatives like you in the party? Are you kind of are you becoming more extinct in the Republican Party? I don't know how to put it any more delicately than that.
Well, look, when it comes to the swamp, there's one thing that the swamp agrees on. It's spending the taxpayers' money. There's always agreement to be found there when it comes to trimming the budget and pulling your belts in and so on and so forth, like homeowners have to do when they're managing their budgets. There's not much of an appetite here for that, and you're seeing evidence of that right now. This is just where it is, and every time, I've been here for 5 years, Harris, every single time, we don't like the process. This has got to change. We can't keep doing this, yet every single time we keep doing the same thing, which is why folks like me say absolutely not. We're going to fight this with everything we have, even if it's only one vote at a time. It's the vote our constituents gave us, and we're voting no to bankrupting our country.
Yeah, I hear you saying all that, and I get it. I mean, it sounds like somebody brought the seaweed to the swamp, as my friend Dagan McDowell would say. And I totally get where the president is on this, too, because he got some of what he wanted, and you can't let the government shut down again.
Right. We keep on using that excuse. You can't let the government shut down again.
Is it just an excuse, or is it reality? I mean, Chuck Schumer certainly didn't have a great day when they had the hashtag Schumer shutdown.
Right. And he didn't have a great day, nor should any of us have a great day. The one thing we're sent here to do is to prioritize the taxpayer spending of their the federal money. And the House passed 12 appropriations bills. How many appropriations bills did the Senate pass? They keep on working with this archaic 60-vote rule. And I will tell you, Harris, the two big things they got passed, a Supreme Court justice and tax relief for the American taxpayers, it took 51 votes. I think I got a news flash for them. The process that they're using now, these rules that aren't they're not enumerated in the Constitution. They just made them up over there, which is fine, but they don't work to progress our government in the 21st century, and they got to take a look at that. If they want to pass spending bills, they're going to have to get people on board, and if it only takes 51, that's where you have to be. What
happens to this when it gets to the Senate, in your estimation? I mean, they vote next.
The Senate, look, the deal is already cooked, the four corners, as we call it, the Senate leadership on both parties, the House leadership on both parties. They've negotiated this. Rank and file members like myself, have been in town. We've been voting on other bills, waiting for them to bring this out. Not much input. People will say otherwise, but I'm telling you, nobody came to me and said, Representative Perry, do your people that you represent, do they support this? What would you like to see? Nobody asked that of me. And so we came to participate, not to take orders.
Yeah, you know, I'm hearing a drumbeat on this. Representative Diane Black of Tennessee was on with me this week as well, and she felt like you described them as the four corners. She said just four people in the room deciding, and that no one had come to her. And I mean, look at her.
Right.
Ways, Means, House Budget. I mean,
committee chairman, exactly. Yeah. Running for governor, been here for a while, has a clue about what's going on.
Why is this happening?
One of the reasons it's happening, once again, is because the Senate, look, we have our dysfunction in the House, too, but the Senate refuses to give up the 60-vote requirement on critical legislation like the spending package. And as long as that happens, then it becomes a negotiation with this cudgel of the government shutdown in the back, and that forces everybody into a corner where they don't want to be, and it forces us to accept the bad things that we have to take for the good things that the American people supported. And that's how, unfortunately, there are people, I think, in government that really like that system just the way it is, and they have no inclination to change it.
You know, it's so quickly, before I let you go, what's so interesting about this is that this is sort of what the president forecast. That's why he was trying to get everybody to come to the point of the White House. Let's see what those four people, or even at that point only two people, would want. We saw a couple of empty chairs the first time with the Democrat side. But you want more seats at that table. We understand now why. $1.3 trillion adding on to the deficit, which does not make us stronger as a nation. It makes us indebted.
It bankrupts us, and you got 435 members of the House, 100 members of the Senate, and four people are spending $1.3 trillion of the taxpayers' money. Something seems askew to me.
Congressman Scott Perry, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you. God bless you.
You too. Let's bring in Fox News Sunday anchor Chris Wallace now. Well, you heard it. Whew, Chris. I mean, there's some House members, particularly conservatives, who are not happy about the situation right now and don't feel like they got seats at the table.
Well, more important than them, I've been watching, and I'm looking at it now, the stock market in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. It was down 420 points. Now it's down, 400 points. It started when the president was talking about signing that tariff that would raise billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars on Chinese imports. And then, of course, the passage of this spending bill. Market's not pleased, clearly, with what's going on in Washington today.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a Wall Street situation, and what I understand that Congressman Perry is talking about is more of a Main Street situation because he's hearing from his constituents. But what are the, talk to me about what the options are here, though, Chris. I mean, we've already had a full shutdown and then kind of that little one in the middle that felt like a partial shutdown, and then you were facing another one tomorrow. So what are the options?
Well, I don't know that there really are options. I mean, look, they last time after the shutdown, they passed a spending bill, a continuing resolution that gave them 6 weeks to get this done, and here they were where the 2,200 pages was dumped on the desks of the members of Congress in the House last night. And as you just heard from Congressman Perry, you could have been up all night, you wouldn't have been able to read this. And, you know, I thought he did have the intellectual honesty to say, you know, for all of our complaints about Nancy Pelosi and what the Democrats used to poll, that we, the Republicans, in his case, are doing exactly the same thing, which is passing this under cover of darkness, a few people making a deal, and everybody basically has to eat it. It's a lousy way to do business, but I'm not sure. Look, if you were to go to all the committees and what they call regular order, and they would have all their votes, do I think it would be any better? No, it's a deeply divided Congress, and you know, I don't see them changing anything soon. And I would say this about Congressman Perry and his complaints about the supermajority, the 60-vote majority. You hear Republicans say that when they're in the majority, but they've got less than 60 votes, in this case 51 votes. How would they feel if the Democrats were in the majority and they could rush things through with 51 or 52 votes, let's say during when Obama was president and they had a small Senate majority. So, you know, that's the idea, is that the Senate acts as kind of the cooling saucer of democracy, and you need to get some people from both sides and some bipartisan buy-in.
You call it a cooling saucer. Republicans, as you heard from Congressman Perry, and I mentioned Congresswoman Diane Black as well, saying something very similar, but it still has to be functional. and that's been the criticism against the Senate, is that, you know, it's kind of baked in. Once it makes its way to the House, they don't really have much they can do about it. That's their take on it. Perhaps it's also speaking directly to the fact that it's just dysfunctional. You know, just ahead of this, maybe a couple of hours, Senator Mitch McConnell put out kind of the significant victories for the nation in the spending bill, why they're spending so much. Everybody understands the military spending. I think the 2.4% increase in military pay, people get that. What did the president get on his list, Chris, that you think he likes?
Well, certainly that. And I think that may be the biggest thing.
Well, we all like that. I mean, the military, yes. But
yes,
he got
that's
a little
what I'm
bit for
talking
the
about,
border wall.
is that military spending. James Mattis, as Secretary of Defense, said that they couldn't continue to do business with these CRs and, you know, kicking the can down the road week to week, month to month, and that if they were going to have real serious military planning in the Pentagon, they needed major spending. Now, the price for that was, to get Democrats to agree to that, they had to increase spending a lot for social programs. A lot of Republicans don't like that. The president did get $1.6 billion extra for the wall, but of course he wanted $25 billion so he could be assured of funding for the wall till its end. And of course, this is going to take him to the end of the year, but if Nancy Pelosi becomes a speaker and Democrats take the House, you can forget about them ever passing you know, full funding for the wall. So this is very much just a very partial and small down payment on what the president wants on the southern border.
Well, you know, Chris, you mentioned Nancy Pelosi. She's been having kind of a tough time, and particularly on the issue of DACA, which didn't make it in here. So this doesn't help her in terms of the Democrats. We'll have to see what happens with her speakership, though. Great to have you on the program, as always. Thank you.
You bet.
Well, we are following a developing story. The lead lawyer for President Trump in the Robert Mueller investigation has resigned. We now have a statement from John Dowd, that attorney, that lead outside counsel, for you coming up. This is the president says he still wants to testify before Robert Mueller. A lot of this to break down. And you know who's on board? Judge Andrew Napolitano. He's next. Stay with us.
Is your retirement invested in the stock market? In our world of fake news, here's what they're not telling you. Gold has outperformed the Dow for the past 17 years. That's the real news. Numbers don't lie. In the year 2000, if you invested $100,000 in the Dow, it would be worth about $197,000 today. But had you diversified just 20% of that into gold, your investment would be worth $248,000, 26% more. Call Lear Capital, rated #1 by Consumer Affairs. Lear is your 5-star leader in precious metals IRAs. Get your free precious metals IRA guide. See how diversifying just a portion of your IRA into gold can help protect and grow your wealth. First-time investors, find out how you can get a $2,000 IRA bonus. Don't wait. Call 800-885-1700. 800-885-1700. Call now.
Okay, folks. Let's get the lady of the house back on her feet and help her feel more strength and energy in just 2 weeks.
The complete balanced nutrition of Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. Ensure, always be you.
At Joseph A. Bank, save up to 60% off almost everything. All 1905 and executive sport coats, $149. All dress shirts, 2 for $89. Plus, get all traveler suits, $249. And find exactly what you're looking for. The up to 60% off sale, only at Joseph A. Bank.
The U.S. bankruptcy courts have established trusts to compensate those diagnosed with lung cancer or mesothelioma. $30 billion has been set aside for those suffering from asbestos-related diseases. Thousands of people have already received compensation. To learn more, contact us now for a free consultation. Call 1-800-950 1-800-950-MISO. For nearly 2 decades, we've been fighting for people with lung cancer and mesothelioma. Call us at 1-800-950-MISO. Lung cancer and mesothelioma. Don't fight it alone.
This is where life expresses itself as an endless flow of energy. Are you ready? Atlantis. Bahamas at heart.
Book by March 31st for the best summer rates at 1-800-ATLANTIS or AtlantisBahamas.com.
It's okay that everybody ignores me when I drive. It's fine, because I get a safe driving bonus check every 6 months I'm accident-free. And I don't share it with Mom, right, Mom? Right.
Safe driving bonus checks only from Allstate. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-650-4157.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-650-4157. Or visit SoClean.com today.
Let's take a look at some breaking news that's unfolding right now on the left side of your screen. Outgoing Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is giving his farewell remarks to State Department employees. We are monitoring this. Of course, we've seen him step up to a lectern recently saying he was leaving the State Department, and now he is officially saying goodbye to those people whom he has led at the State Department. And we move on now. A big exit from the president's legal team. John Dowd, President Trump's lead lawyer, outside counsel representing the president in Robert Mueller's Russia investigation, has resigned. His departure marking the most prominent shakeup for the president's legal team since he took over from the president's longtime personal lawyer, Mark Kasowitz, last summer. John Dowd gave this statement to Fox, quote, "I resigned Thursday morning, and President Trump graciously accepted. The president has a terrific case and has proved it to the special counsel, Robert Mueller, and his team in spades. This statement I made last week about the special counsel ending is no different than what I have told Mueller and his investigators on multiple occasions. I am so proud of the president's transparency and how anyone could accuse him of obstruction after the president's extraordinary cooperation is beyond me. I love him and wish him well," end quote. And the president saying just moments ago, as he was leaving that diplomatic room, remember we were showing you this live, he was signing the China tariffs. He said that he would like to, and these are his words, testify before the special counsel, something he has said several times in the past. Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano, a lot of news breaking right now. The president doubling down. Although it's not testimony, it's an interview. All the same, he says he'll sit down.
Well, there actually was a dispute amongst the president's people as to whether or not he should sit down and be interviewed by Bob Mueller. It's not only interviewed by Mueller, there are his prosecutors and his FBI agents as well. And the interview is not under oath, but it's obviously
so not testimony, but interview.
Correct. So John Dowd, who has a lot of respect amongst lawyers in Washington, D.C., argued against the interview. Other lawyers on the team argued in favor of it. Now, for those of us who've been in this business for a long time, I can tell you it's a two varies, maybe three or four,
very
dangerous situation for any person to be in when you're in the crosshairs of a prosecutor, to talk to that prosecutor, particularly very skilled prosecutors and FBI agents. They may ask him about a loan from Deutsche Bank 20 years ago, which he'll say he remembers. He'll give contradictory answers today from what he said under oath in another environment that he doesn't recall, and you have a potential charge of misleading or lying.
I know you're giving kind of a what-if kind of example so we understand it on your level, but don't you give the president and his team credit to know that if you don't know something at that moment, you say you don't know it at that moment? My goodness, we've had a crisis of misrememberings all over the place in the history of government. Simply saying, I don't know that right now, let me get back to you. What's the harm in that?
The president is not a normal client. The president is the most powerful person on the planet. This particular president has one of the strongest personalities and highest levels of self-confidence of any human being I've ever met. This president, if told not to say something that he wants to say, will probably say it anyway. And this president doesn't always use, I'm being diplomatic now, an economy of words. That recipe is a field day for prosecutors and FBI agents that would like to trip him up. Nothing good can come from Donald Trump trying to persuade Bob Mueller not to charge him with anything. Let the lawyers do the talking and the negotiating.
What about the shakeup in council? And you know, we talked about on Outnumbered, did he quit, was he fired? Well, I think it's all the same if he was close to the door. Agreed.
Now, I am a big fan of Joe diGenova. This is the lawyer that was brought on earlier in the week as a surprise to John Dowd. So that's strike number one. Strike number two is the disagreement within the team about how cooperative the team should be with Bob Mueller. John Dowd arguing in favor of a lot of cooperation. Here's what Joe diGenova confronts. Bob Mueller has over 100,000 documents that the president's legal team has surrendered. Joe diGenova must familiarize himself with every one of those documents, a learning curve that can't be done overnight. I know Joe. He's going to look at many of those documents and say, what the heck did you surrender this for? Well, it's too late. We already gave it. What does this mean? What does that mean? Well, only the president means it. Well, I need the president to explain this to me. Well, he's on the phone with Vladimir Putin. This is not a normal lawyer-client relationship. But that guy, Joe diGenova, who is the attack dog that Donald Trump needs, has to learn everything about the case in a very short period of time.
All right, talk to me about everything, though, that's going on around this. I mean, this isn't the only thing that the president legally is dealing with right now. Does it help to have a team that's on your side? I mean, if you have to lean it down and pull people on who are on the same page with you and the rest of the team, doesn't that help you?
All right, so the president has many teams of lawyers. He has a team led by Don McGahn. That's the White House legal counsel. Don McGahn is, in my view, quite correct to argue, let's not give the special counsel anything. He's got a team formerly headed by John Dowd, once headed by Mark Kasowitz, now headed by Joe diGenova. We don't know which way they're going to go, but I suggest they're going to resist. Then he's got three pieces of litigation coming at him involving three women who claim they've had relationships with him, one of whom has already given what is purported to be an incendiary interview to 60 Minutes that we're all going to hear on Monday night. One of them just won a motion downtown here in New York City to take the president's deposition. That is, to put him under oath and question him about his relationship, his intimate sexual relationship with this lady 12 years ago. This is not good for all this to happen to the president while he's talking to Putin and signing tariffs on China and negotiating spending with the Congress.
It doesn't show that he can get the job done no matter what is going on around him.
He can keep many balls in the air, but he is human, and this is almost being under siege.
So this is why I come back to the case that you just laid out, and you are a judge, and so you do that so well. This is why I come back to, wouldn't you rather have a team of people that see it at least the same way amongst themselves and can put a case together, if not only see it the way you do, too?
This is the uniqueness of Donald Trump, who has said privately and publicly he likes his advisors to disagree. He likes advice as to why I should do this and should not do it, and then he makes the decision. Lawyers don't...
Yeah, but he's not an attorney.
Right.
So maybe legal
lawyers don't like it when the client makes the decision because the client cannot know as much about the case as they do.
Well, they are being paid.
These are very exciting times, Harris.
Oh, Judge Nafs, I could go back and forth with you all day.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. A lot to chew on here. The House Intelligence Committee has just released more unclassified information and recommendations from its Russia report. What it all reveals about the Kremlin's meddling in America's elections and the failures of the Obama administration, Ambassador John Bolton is on deck with me next. And Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg under fire after what critics are calling a weak response to a massive data grab. The CEO offering to testify now on Capitol Hill said he might even consider regulations on social media. What could happen next? And will it be enough? Stay close.
If the industry won't solve these kinds of problems themselves, we'll have to solve them with legislation. You can't have 50 million people lose the privacy of their data this way.
Are you a veteran and need money for your family? New Day USA can help. We earned a lot of VA benefits with our service, but the VA home loan benefit is a big one. If you want to use it to get cash, call New Day USA. VA loans are all they do. And don't let less than perfect credit hold you back. Even if you've been turned down for a VA loan by your bank, call New Day. They've been given automatic authority by the VA. They can often help veterans when other lenders won't. By refinancing up to 100% of your home's value, you could take out an average of $54,000 cash. You could use that money to pay credit card debt and other expenses, plan for retirement, and get back on your feet financially. Need money for your family? Call New Day USA and use the VA home loan benefit you've earned and deserve.
Call 1-844-383-1546.
Tired, aching legs, painful feet? Relieve your aching legs and feet today with Revitive Medics Circulation Booster. A drug-free and clinically tested medical device cleared by the FDA, Revitive stimulates your leg muscles to actively improve circulation, relieve aches and pains, and strengthen leg muscles. Easy to use. Just one session a day could make all the difference. Do more without aches and pains. For exclusive offers, go to tryrevitive.com or Amazon.
Hello. Let's go for a ride on a Peloton. Let's go grab a couple thousand friends and chase each other up a hill. Let's go make a personal best, then beat it with your personal better than best. Let's go bring the world's best instructors right to you. Better yet, let's go bring the entire New York studio live. Let's go anytime, anywhere, with anyone who's willing. And let's go do it all right here. Ready to go? Peloton.
Today, smart planning is helping the new New York rise higher than ever. As the world leader in unmanned aerial systems, we're attracting the world's best talent to central New York and turning the airport into a first-class transportation hub. All while growing urban areas into vibrant places to live and work. Across New York State, we're building the new New York. To grow your business with us in New York State, visit esd.ny.gov.
I'm Jacqueline.
Hi, I'm Heather.
My name is Julene. I'm on Match because I'm ready to find my partner.
Looking for a real relationship? I'm looking for a serious relationship.